The Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli, heads to South Africa for the world-famous Joburg Kyalami 9-hour. On the 5th of February 2022, the season finale promises to draw to an epic African conclusion. This is the premier GT series in the world, and you could be part of the action. With the title yet to be decided, Audi, Ferrari and Mercedes-AMG have unsettled business on the blacktop. For more information and ticket sales, visit www.kyalami9hour.com.
Welcome to day one of the virtual Kyalami 9-hour. Today is all about qualifying and Super Bowl. It's now time to switch over to our live commentators, Daniel Haynes and Ernest Page.
Oh, here we go, Daniel Haynes. Here we go. It is time once again, and after a few months break, we are back in the seat. And this time, the virtual Kyalami 9-hour kicks off once again. And I am pumped because there's been a shuffling of the deck, Daniel. And I know you've been busy working furiously in the background with the rest of the team to try and get this event to run as slick as possible. The drivers are invested. We've got a star-studded cast of drivers. And dare I say, it's more competitive than the last time. Daniel Haynes, welcome to the hot seat. It's time, my friend. It's time.
How brilliant it is to be back. I mean, what a difference literally 2 months makes. We're back in November. The country was terrible. The race got cancelled. The real race got cancelled. We're thinking all doom and gloom. Now we're sat here. We've got an epic lineup. We've got the real race happening next weekend. Everything's going to go perfectly. This is the race we deserve. I'm so stoked. And as you say, in the meantime, whilst we've been sorting things out in the background, I think most of these drivers have spent 2 months practicing on track. So the times yesterday during pre-division qualifying was just insane.
Absolutely shattering times there.
Nuts. I mean, for the whole grid, top to bottom, even the very quickest guys, it was much quicker than we saw before. And the standard is absolutely class. So I just cannot be more excited to see who's going to be the first champion for the virtual Kyalami 9-hour. And it starts today in qualifying.
Well, literally 2 seconds separating most of the grid thereabouts. Some of the drivers now dipping into the 39s and some new drivers also making their way to the front of the queue. There's a shuffling of teams as well. There have been some drivers that have been kicked off, some that have been adopted on. Here is your list. Koketso Pilani, definitely someone to watch out for today. Jordan Sherritt back in the driver's seat today. Definitely watch out for him. Kieran Patterson doing so well last time. They'll be fooled by the qualifying. And Daniel Rover there now driving for Scribanti Racing. Leslie Oliphant, definitely one of the guys to watch with Chris Heineken and Mark Steyn. The team stays the same. Sas van der Westhuizen is the man behind the scenes, back behind the seat. Kalen Mawa, and we saw earlier on that was Essa and his team currently in second position, but still right up there. Aldo Bellingham back as well. Jason Isherwood too, and more familiar names as the deck continues to get shuffled. Paul Venter, Flip Van Zyl in the mix as well. Dylan Fasaki, Ruan Gous in the Bentley, and of course another BMW. So many BMWs out there today, Dan. But having said that, not that many BMWs at the sharp end of the grid.
No, it's a little mini BMW Cup, but they're fighting out towards the middle pack. And so the quick cars are not a BMW. Bit surprising, but we'll see how it goes, eh?
Well, very
good mix around the
surprising.
field, though.
Fantastic mix, but very surprised to see the way the seeding turned out and how the fastest car in seeding is in fact an Aston Martin. I mean, we haven't seen that in a long, long time. Dan, do you have any sort of information on maybe is this car faster, or is it just the fact that the combination of Jordan Sherritt, Tariq Adam and Luke Addison are just that good?
I think it's very much a combination of the drivers, but you should see these guys sound off in Discord chat. Oh, your car's the best, my car's terrible, and then the next person comes and blitzes the time. It's a lot of gamesmanship going on in the background, but I think anyone in that top 10 is blisteringly quick, and the fact that there's basically nearly every brand represented in that top 10 is enough to show that there's no one can really argue of one supreme vehicle, especially over a 9-hour race where you need a little bit of luck. So everything's to play for.
Well, a team to look out for that certainly did well the last time. Kieran Patterson and the guys in 8th position in the seeding. His dad now racing as well, I understand. So Kieran Patterson joined there by Byron Kutzer. They were able to carve their way through the field last time, and that's exactly what we expect to see today. Top 10 only is the pro division from 11 to 25, the pro am division from 26 to 40, the Silver Cup, and as you mentioned earlier on off air, Dan, 41 all the way through, unfortunately, did not qualify for the race. So we've got the fastest 40 teams here today.
Yeah, but whilst we're talking about that, we'd definitely like to say a huge thank you for everyone that participated yesterday. It was unfortunate with the shrinking of the grid, which we just thought would be a better spectacle and was mostly approved by every single driver that took part, that there was going to be quite a few teams that missed out, and they tried diligently to set a fast time. A few missed out by literally hundreds of a second, which I completely feel their pain, 100%. But a huge shout out to all of those that took part yesterday, and we really, really hope that next time we run this, maybe in November, we'll see you back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. I mean, that's the name of motorsport. It comes down to a few tenths of a second sometimes a few hundredths of a second, and that's what we saw here in this seeding over here. We've got a couple of minutes to go to qualifying. I'm very excited, Dan. I've got that smile on my face because this is it now. The drivers have come to the point where they knew this was coming for a much longer runway, so to speak. They've had time to make the changes. They've had a feel of where everybody sits, what the pecking order looks like. And now 2 months later, this changes the dynamic completely from 2 months ago, doesn't it?
100%. And obviously, everyone will remember the fact that we were dropped with about 6 updates to the game literally hours before we raced last time, which was fundamental with the BMW being introduced, for example, and a lot of changes to the cars since then with BOP changes and all the rest of it. So now we've had this period of time where the drivers have been able to really test everything. They've been able to reselect. Everyone's had a new opportunity. So there's no complaining going on. I think everyone's just got to get on the black stuff and show their times. And they did yesterday, but I think there were a few teams that just held back just a little bit yesterday. Just a little bit. So I wouldn't read everything into that HLQ timesheet. I would just wait and see how the average times work today. Obviously, bearing in mind yesterday's qualifying was one single fastest lap from any driver. Whereas today, it's all 3 drivers or 2 drivers, depending if you're on a 3 or 2 driver team. The average from yours is whether you get through to Superpole. And then we'll get the top 10 shootout, which is a spectacle indeed. One we'll look forward to as well next weekend in the real Kyalami 9-hour.
Oh, yes, Superpole indeed. Always a treat to behold because anything can happen. It's the high pressure situation of having to do sort of one and done setup. I mean, it's so hard to be able to do. But I tell you, somebody that's not complaining at the moment, 2 teams that I think are going to be very happy here today. Custom Cut IT Solutions and Scuderia Scribanti is currently in the top 3. The sim racing masterclass in a bit of a sandwich there, but those 2 teams I think are going to be very happy because number 1, Custom Cut is now right on top. Jordan Sherritt behind the wheel once again, an absolute talent in this sport. So I'm very glad to see him here mixing it up with the big boys. And then of course Scuderia Scribanti after how should we say it, a disappointing showing at the last event. There was some words being flung around online, but I've got to say the team handled it with absolute professionalism, and they are back today with a serious competitor behind the wheel. So they've got the real world drivers on the black stuff, and then they've got Daniel Rowe that does both, and they put Daniel Rowe behind the wheel. So a big round of applause to the guys from Scribanti Racing for getting into the top 3 off the bat like this.
That's one hell of a move, isn't it? I mean, we were very happy to have them in the race last time, and they're obviously very busy guys, and they're setting up for next week. So instead of trying running it again, they're concentrating on the real race. But my word, if they recruited a team to run their car livery. So we still get to see the Scribanti car going around, and at the moment it's in the top 3. So that's going to be pretty epic for this weekend.
Well, Dan, we're going to go to ads quickly. We'll be right back after these, folks. Here we go. Qualifying starts shortly.
The 2022 season is upon us, and South Africa finally has an FIA-approved GT3 series. 6 rounds, 12 races, including the prestigious Kyalami 9-hour. The fastest South African drivers will compete on equal terms thanks to a complex system called balance of performance. Before each round, there will be an almost identical virtual round. This is South African GT Racing, and we'll see you in 2022.
Oh, here we go, Daniel. It is time to go racing. And as we look on screen, we got Jordan Sherritt in the uncharacteristically fast Aston Martin. I mean, this is a car that's been avoided by many over the seasons that I've been following the sport and taking part here and there myself. It's not the fastest car on the circuit, but here it is, the favorite going into this qualifying.
It could well be the fastest car on this particular circuit, though. It was yesterday during Friday qualifying, and Jordan Sherritt, a man that was very well known in the sim world, real racing as well, and he topped the timesheets. He was also he's a champion of the Pro Series, wasn't he? So we're expecting a great many things from Jordan Sherritt today, and let's see whether he can shove it on pole.
Jordan Sherritt, of course, a controversial figure in sim racing. But I've always said that, to speak candidly on the topic, Dan, I've always said sometimes that's what you got to be, man. You know, these guys are winners. These guys are competitors. They are there to take part. They are there to win. So Jordan Sherritt has got all the personality traits, in my mind, of someone that's a championship winner. He's proven it in the past. Can he do it again today? He certainly has done so yesterday as Jordan Sherritt makes his way down the main straight 9 to the first kink/corner of Kyalami International Raceway.
So they've only got 15 minutes in these sessions to set their fastest lap. Each driver will take it in turn. So that Jordan Sherritt is Custom Cut Solutions driver number 1. And then he'll have Luke Addison and Tariq Adams following as drivers 2 and 3 in the next sessions. And then the average of those 3 times are combined, and that is your overall team session. So you need everyone to put a good lap in. It's no good just one of you doing it. If you get an invalidated lap somewhere, it would be a disaster.
Absolute disaster as Essa runs wide there in the Ultimate Raceway car over there. Zahir Essa, no stranger to being on top of the podium, and certainly no stranger to winning. He was handily taking the lead and the win at the previous iteration of this event, but this time he's got a little bit more competition. His team, though, is absolutely solid. I mean, what a star-studded team he has driving with him with real-world races. And today, though, I've got to say, will that be a disadvantage going into today, considering that Sherritt and the boys are all seasoned sim racers?
Yeah, we were talking. This was the big story for the first running of this event, and it was they silenced us, didn't they? Stuart White and Michael Stevens. Yes. We were thinking possibly that SMI would be the team purely in a sim world, but actually that wasn't the case when you saw those guys hit the car as well. So yeah, it's going to be super close between those. Also the Scribanti team in Daniel Rowe as well. Whether they can, I think in the first round qualifying they had a driver missing and had to start from the back. That's not the case today, so they will be going for a super pole position.
Oh yeah, so far Essa up front with a 140.1. We've seen some of the drivers get into the 39s. So expect Essa to be slightly faster than I expect the teams to go slightly faster. The 777 car over there currently in first position. He's currently up on his Delta as well, as we look at Isherwood now down in 10th position, 0.6 of a second up on his best time. And Jason Isherwood in the BMW this time. He used to race in the Bentley in the Pro Series, but now in the BMW, and I wonder how he's finding that BMW. Have you had a chance to test the BMW and stretch its legs a little bit there?
It's been a little bit controversial, the BMW, since it's been introduced into ACC, and it's become a little bit too hot, as in so many people selecting it. In the last couple of weeks, though, it had a little bit of a nerf, and that's brought it back into the sort of pack a bit fairly. And here, I mean, as we've seen, they have not been topping the timesheets. However, they are an incredibly quick car, the most popular car in ACC currently. With its updates. So we're going to see quite a few of them this weekend. It's growing on me. It really is. That grille doesn't look as horrific as it once did. But it doesn't look as good as this Lamborghini Huracan. No, not a chance.
Oh my goodness me. I don't think many cars do. The Scribanti car specifically, running the same livery that you'll see on the full-scale car. The Lamborghini Huracan, unbelievably stunning car. And a car that we were seeing much further up the grid, thanks to the exploits of certain Daniel Rowe. You guys might recognize the name from South African motorsport circuits, as Ryan Ottens makes his way into 7th position there, the car number 166 car. And Daniel Rowe, I think, is really going to be someone to watch, because he doesn't have to carve his way through the field like he did the last time. The last time we saw him absolutely killing everybody one after the next. I think he made about 20 positions at one stage, if I'm not mistaken. And Daniel Rowe this time, yeah, it was crazy. Daniel Rowe this time doesn't have to do that anymore. Now, just has the race. Jacques Van Beelen currently on screen.
Something else that's pretty crazy is Jordan Sherritt's just put a 1:39.5 on the board. That is a blistering time, half a second up on Essa for first place in this session one. Insane time. And so Essa and Rowe are going to have to really move it. We saw Rowe last time going back. He was in the Honda, wasn't he? Carving his way through the field. And now he's completely changed vehicles to the Lamborghini in Scribanti Racing. So at least he shows his versatility between manufacturers.
Yeah, I'm sure for someone like him, it's not going to be an issue. As we see Kieran Patterson currently in 6th position. That PWSR car, Patterson, Byron Kutzer teammates, and I don't see his father's name, Alan Patterson, on my list here. But you did mention that he will also be driving the car. They were 8th place in seating, currently in 6th position.
Yeah, Alan Patterson's teammate is Chris DeSantos, currently in 25th position right now. So Alan will be taking the helm in session number 2, I think.
So Alan and Kieran are not on the same team. Okay, I thought I misunderstood you there. I apologize. The two drivers were driving together.
Yeah, they've split. Patterson works on split cars.
Maybe some team politics going on there, some drama behind the scenes, or just they've decided to run a 2-car team. But the PWSR guys, definitely watch out for them, because in the previous race, man, that car was absolutely flying. And he was also one of the guys that was able to do better in the race regardless of the qualifying. So qualifying is of course all important, but there are certain drivers that are able to maximize race pace. Patterson certainly being one of them, and the now Scribanti driver, another one. Someone that is known for winning races though is the man on screen at the moment in the 777 Audi. That is Sim Racing Masterclass Audi, sponsored by Ultimate Raceway. I've never been to Ultimate Raceway yet, but apparently it's a fantastic facility. And of course, that is the same gentleman whose brother runs a circuit down here in Cape Town. So this is what you get when you start getting to a point where real drivers start getting involved. You start getting successes. You start getting real world sponsors, and that's what we're seeing here. We've got Custom Cut IT, we've got Scuderia Scribanti, Slick Racing, PWSR Hybrid Academy. All these guys have sponsored the headline sponsors on their cars, and it's great to see, because that just means we have more competition, more events, and more drivers able to enter.
Superb, isn't it? It's exactly what we want to see. And like in the case of Scribanti, that exact car will be going around next weekend, and we'll be able to actually see it in its flesh. So it's so nice to have the crossover from the sim world to the real race next weekend. Something that, you can't get in many other video games, if you like, but this is way more than that. It's a proper simulator.
I'd love to see the FIFA champion try and qualify for the World Cup. I don't think it works the same.
No, he might have the same shirt on, but that's pretty much it, I think. Skills aren't transferable.
In car over there, you can actually see the rear view camera on the view from outside of the car. I mean, the graphics is just unbelievable. The amount of detail, unbelievable on Assetto Corsa. And we're quite lucky because our production team in the background. And I mean, big shout out to the production. Oh, somebody gets it loose there. That's Pilani with Kuketso Pelani, they get some loose Kuketso, of course, our winner in the competition last year. He won in Gran Turismo last year, and now he's mixing it up in Assetto Corsa. Invalidated lap there, unfortunately. But Kuketso Pelani looking good out there. But yeah, man, it's just fantastic to see it. You guys have been doing a fantastic job in the background there, Dan. Tell us a bit more about what's been going on in the background.
Yeah, a huge amount, and I have a lot of people to thank. I mean, the admin staff, we brought on some extra help because, let's be honest, we needed it, and it's been epic. The people behind the scenes organising this race and coordinating with the drivers, a huge thank you. Ryan Hill especially, Sas van der Westhuizen especially, Jonathan Bentz also setting up these servers until literally 3 o'clock in the morning last night and the night before. A huge amount of work to make this event possible. And yeah, thanks goes out to all the backroom staff. That's just the admin staff from a technical standpoint. The production side is also a whole nother level. They've been working all week. So thanks to all of those guys, and we really hope it comes across as well in the product.
Well, we've got 9 hours to talk about it tomorrow. I'd love to hear more about it. We've only got 4 minutes of qualifying left in this session, though. There was Oliver Carr was our fastest in the Silver Cup earlier on. Yesterday's seeding in the 991-911 GT3R. Racing for My Boot is the name of that team. So Oliver Carr in silver as we go to Sas van der Westhuizen, another one of your behind-the-scenes cronies there. Dan, Sas van der Westhuizen.
Yeah, he's an admin worker and he's a driver as well. So yeah, a bit of a... He's had to put his admin hat, quickly put his helmet on and go around. He's followed by his teammate is Philip Minnaar, who had a blistering lap, put him in the pro class yesterday. And I think he was 5th overall. So Sas van der Westhuizen is he's not quite up there in this session, but it will be down to averages. But his teammate, Philip Minnaar, has certainly found something. He's been quick in other series I partake in as well. And yeah, he's really showing that Audi some pace. So the combination of the two, these guys could be quite interesting tomorrow.
Philip Minnaar is absolutely up there with a 140.3. Sas's best yesterday was a 141.2. Let's see how he does now. He gets a, trying to get that time there, 141.4.
Up to 60.
141.4. I mean, just look at how competitive this has become now. 16th position gets a 141.4. He's up 7, but still quite far down. He's going to have to push quite a bit more. Only 3 minutes left in this session, and as you say, it's per driver's session. In the next session, we'll see more drivers coming in as Sas pulls over there. I think he's done for that lap. We get eyes now on Aldo Bellingham, the other Lamborghini. Aldo Bellingham currently in 27th position. The number 52 car over there. And Aldo, no stranger to the scene. Meraki Motorsport. Best of 141.1 yesterday, and he was 16th position in the Pro-Am. He was in the Pro-Am class, 16th position overall, Aldo Bellingham. Another controversial figure in sim racing, at least from what I've seen. But like I said, I've always advocated in the sport, you've got to have heroes and villains. For some, he's a hero, I'm sure. And we want personalities in the sport. I love it when there are people out there that voice their opinions, whether I agree with them or not, because it makes the sport more interesting, it gets more fans, and it makes the sport a bigger spectacle. And that's what we're about. We're about putting on a show, putting on a spectacle, as Francois Erasmus does so in 34th position with a 142.4 in that lone McLaren over there. Morgan McCall in the unique sounding Mercedes-Benz. And the Mercedes-Benz does sound like only a Mercedes-Benz, doesn't it?
Yeah, so deep, isn't it, that twin-turbo V8? And it looks pretty cool in that ATK livery as well. Got some fantastic liveries. Erasmus he stood out quite well with his African livery back there. And then Aldo Bellingham as well. I'm going to get a touch confused with Aldo Bellingham and the Scribanti Lamborghini this weekend, because they're both black, but they both look epic, really do. So 2 Lamborghinis to look forward to. But here we have Morgan McCall just looking on the sheets of whether he's up on his Delta. He's not at the moment, so he shouldn't improve from 8th position. Pretty level on where he was, but it's super close. That even 1/10 can jump you quite a few spots. At the top, though, the 15 minutes is nearly over, only a minute to go, and it doesn't look like Esther's got anything to combat Sherritt's raw pace in that Aston Martin, with the 4/10 being the gap between the first and second place, which is pretty monumental, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely monumental. I was expecting to see a close front-end battle, but man, this is just amazing how Sherrod has been able to separate himself from the pack as we go now on board with Martin Rautenbach in the 465 car in position number 24. That puts him at the bottom end of Pro-Am category, at least in the seeding. But 465 is up one position on number 465. He was in 18th position in the seeding. That's the KSR One Plan Insurance car. They've got two cars, both running BMWs, KSR, and two of them over here in the top 25, 18th and 19th position. Martin Rautenbach, Jaco Nodia, Bertus Ichu in the one car, Mike Leroux, Chantal Hansen, Grant Findley in the other. So One Plan Insurance. Here's your shout out. Oh, Bruno Cadile is back. Bruno Cadile is back. And I'm sure he hasn't left the scene, but I haven't seen him in racing. He was not taking part, if I'm not mistaken, in the previous iteration of this competition.
You're quite right.
And nice to see Bruno Cadile out there again. Absolutely fast. I had the displeasure of being followed by him when I just started playing Assetto Corsa, and he rudely harassed me on Spa. I'd never seen a car so close on my bumper for so long. It wasn't fun. But Bruno Cadile has some serious... No, of course not. But Bruno Cadile, I probably did, to be honest. Bruno Cadile is absolutely quick, and I hope he starts to find some pace in the BMW as he crosses the line, goes into 12th
He did jump up there, yeah. So the clock struck 0, so we're in the overtime now. So guys that are on laps can conclude their lap. Esser is up, improved by a 10th, I believe. He was up on his delta, but he's still not anywhere close to Sherrod. Looking down the order, Kieran Patterson is quite high up on his delta, but I think most people are pretty much finished. Esser's the only one left on a hot lap. He's slightly up. It's not going to be enough. No, he's going to finish in second place, but it will help your average. Every little gain's going to help your average. Got to remember that.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is about. This is a team effort at this stage, so the drivers need to contribute towards that team effort. And S has done that. George Sherrod in first position, but we're going to be going to ads now. We'll be right back with those results and, of course, the second session. See you then. And we are back, Daniel Haynes. And if you look at the bottom of the screen over there, you can see what this event is powered by. Going that way, we got GT, South African GT, of course. That is the new GT series happening this year. You might recognize the voice from the commercial there. Monarch, of course, making sure this is all possible. Kyalami 9 Hour. But a big shout out from my side goes to Sim Racing GP and Sim Racing South Africa. Sim Race South Africa. I mean, you guys have done a fantastic job. Just look how slick that was over there, of course, with our production team tying it all together. But so far, so good, Dan.
Yeah, let's not jinx it. But so far, so good. And we couldn't do it without any one of those 5 on the bottom. So we're grateful for every single one that's helped us through here. It's a lot of people involved behind the scenes. And the first session's over. No huge surprises. A little bit surprised at the gap between Sherrod and Esser, I have to say. But when both cars are in the 39s, which is literally the alien time at Kyalami, if you can get a 39, you're officially an alien. So both of those cars have got into the 39s. It's just Sherrod at a 39.5 is just nuts. I mean, really is crazy.
Wow.
Daniel Rowe, 40.2.
Dan, from your perspective, do you think that time is out-and-out ability combined with setup? Do you think that... it's the Aston Martin with setup. What do you think is because that's a big gap, man. That's a big gap. And these are the two fastest guys on the circuit, pretty much.
It's a time that I would never be able to get to. I would be in my rig for forever and more, that thing, and I would never get there. So to be quite honest, I don't know how they've managed it. A 139.5 is just nuts. Whether it's the Aston Martin, you can't just put it down to the car, because I could drive that Aston Martin and it would be a couple of seconds off him, and I'd be happy with it. So there you go. So they found something in the setup, they found something in the car, and they found something in their just pure skill. And I think Tariq Adams and Luke Addison have also found something as well, because I'm suspecting that all three of them are going to be in the 39s. The average time is going to be something to behold. And they're odds-on favourite for me to take pole. Odds-on favourite.
No, definitely odds-on favourite. Let's not forget Daniel Rowe in third position there, flying the Scribanti flag. Kieran Patterson in fourth place over there. Kaketso Pilani mixing it up with the boys there in fifth position. And disappointing Leslie Oliphant. He was fighting for position number 1 at the previous event, and now down in sixth place. So he's going to have to fight his way through. And the first of the BMWs comes through with Ryan Ottens behind the wheel in seventh place. So you were right about that qualifying yesterday. Certainly some of the guys not going as fast as they can. I think we're going to see Pro-Am and Silver Cup guys in slightly staggered positions potentially.
I think we will. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of Pro-Ams that sneak themselves into the top 10. Would not be surprised at all. It's that close between the field. And obviously when you've only got 15 minutes to put that lap in, it's much harder than an entire day yesterday on what could have been a completely empty server. If you got in there early, there was hardly anyone there. You could lap to your heart's content if you didn't have a job to go to and push in one of those hot times. Then all of a sudden you got 40 cars to deal with. Makes it a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? So I think some people will definitely be shuffled around. We'll have a few people that start from the back again because they've messed up in qualifying. But the whole point of this is, yes, it's nice to start from pole. You get a bit of bragging rights. But as we saw last time, that's not necessarily the most important thing, is it?
No, not at all. Well, we're going to be going to ads, folks, and we'll be back after this for the next session. It's not over yet, not by a long shot. We'll see you guys shortly. And speaking of aliens, Coach Dave Academy made for the drivers out there by aliens. And Coach Dave Academy in the mix, and also involved with the sim race. I mean, that's a lot of Coach Dave drivers are from sim race. And just an incredible team effort in the background. I'm looking through the YouTube comments now. You see Tariq Adam going through there. Daniel De Villiers says, "Let's go KSR." And I think that was Aldo Bellingham said he wasn't happy with his qualifying, so he's not going to be too happy about that. Weza SA also joining us later on. So a lot of the guys, Peter Oosthuizen in the stream as well, Bernard King in the stream, and JJ McClure in the mix as well. So all you guys watching out there, thanks for joining us. Be sure to give the stream a like, share, let your friends know. Qualifying happening right now, the virtual Kyalami 9-hour powered by Monarch, happening as we speak, as Tariq Adam makes his way around the final sector to start his first hot lap. 13 minutes of qualifying remaining.
Just a reminder for the guys, tomorrow we've got looks like Tariq Adams got an issue. We may have Chris Heinecker as well. Possibly this server might get looped. But just a reminder for tomorrow during the race is the stream has got social integration. So we want to hear from the teams and the drivers, especially when they're in the middle of a 9-hour race.
The UFC.
Yeah, we want to see. Remember,
and the names come up. I love
hashtag VK9H. That's what you got to use tomorrow on all socials, and then our production team can bring them up on screen.
I'm so excited. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I'm just getting so excited about this. We get to interact directly with the people on the stream. That's incredible.
That's exactly what we want, though. We want to see how drivers are coping with 9 hours. I want to see pictures of their rigs. I want to see how they're getting on. I want to see any mishaps they've had, any funny business that's gone on. Because at the end of the day, it's all about having some fun. And I know these teams are going to have a huge amount of fun. So server 2 is just going to get a quick reboot. This is to be sort of expected just for qualifying. The race tomorrow is happening and hosted at Amazon servers in the Cape Town data center. I can absolutely 100% guarantee, and I'm not even having to touch wood, that thing, once it starts, is like an oil tanker. You can't turn it round. So,
okay.
we'll
have 9 hours server that we're on now.
This is completely separate from what will be raced tomorrow. It's hosted in Europe, also paid service, and it's incredibly stable for qualifying. But the way that this qualifying works with the averages, It's quite complicated. Tomorrow will be hosted in Amazon's AWS server in Cape Town. And that thing, when it goes, is not turning around. That's going to be, when we start, 9 hours later, we're going to have a champion.
Okay, that's good to know. And just sit tight, folks. We've got a slight technical issue. We're going to be restarting that server. The drivers will be going, but nothing missed, nothing lost, because their drivers were just basically lining up for that first lap. And we just got to restart that server quickly. Back to the comments. I see Kalen Mawa is in the comments as well. Shout out to Kalen Mawa. KLM Pace, some fantastic liveries coming out of that stable as we now go on screen to look at the cars. There's Bruno Cadelia's car over there. Luke Addison. We saw Tariq Adam out currently. Hannes van Wyk there on the right-hand side. Daniel Rowe. And joined by Grobla, Kieran Patterson's car on the right-hand side there. And there's Leslie Oliphant, the number 353 car. I'm hoping to see him further up the field with his team. Sas van der Westhuizen, we mentioned earlier, and Zaire Essa, Stuart White, Michael Steven, the team stays the same. There's the KLM Pace car, Pace Motorsport, 80K Sim Racing, Meraki Motorsport, Aldo Bellingham there in the number 52 car, or at least number 52 car. Paul Fenter, LNR Express. A lot of familiar names there. At the front of the grid, the teams are pretty much similar in many, many ways. But we do see a lot of new names over there. From your side, Daniel, what new names do you think we should be looking out for?
Difficult one, really. Polani was, I don't think, raced in the first run. He's going to be right up there in the top 10.
I think he's one of the guys, definitely.
Yeah, he just wedged himself straight into that pro class, and no worries whatsoever. And we've seen him in other series be incredibly quick. So I'll be keeping a keen eye out for him for sure.
Stephen Koenig in the mix as well, joined by Etienne Kleb. Nice to see him there as JJ McClure. Last comment from the stream. JJ McClure says he's absolutely glued to the screen. And thanks for the stream and commentary, guys. Thank you, Dan. I don't know about the other commentator, but you're not doing too badly over there. As we now start to get ready to head back to the racing, White Rabbit Gaming card, Shaul Wilkin in the mix, and Christopher Radloff. Nice to see old Chris Radloff in the mix as well. Christopher's got a drifting background and also involved with, believe it or not, the winning Dakar racing team.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's quite a CV that you've got on your hand already.
That's a heck of a CV. That's a heck of a CV.
We'll keep an eye out for him for sure.
Indeed. He's got his, as you know, it's a South African outfit, run by South Africans, Daniel Haynes.
It's a little dig there. Little dig.
The green and gold. And I'm hoping that when we play the national anthem tomorrow, you at least put your hand on your chest. So, because we bleed green here. Okay, I don't know what you bleed, but we bleed green. And
usually it's frozen blood where I come from. we try not to cut ourselves.
So he was one of the team that worked on that car, and I mean, can you believe it? All 4 of the works cars finished, including the 11 non-works cars, the old cars that were sold to privateers, run by privateers. All of the Toyota Hiluxes finished. So, I mean, the reliability coming out of that stable is just phenomenal. So, I don't think the reliability is going to matter today. He's probably make sure his rig's going to last for the 9 hours. But I'm very interested to see how Radloff and the boys do. And he's, of course, as I mentioned, joined by the rest of the team in White Rabbit Gaming.
Just want a quick shout out for number 33 there in the McLaren. We got Jason Holden-Jones and Gabriel Rousseau. Jason Holden-Jones was the person that founded Sim Racing South Africa. And it's nice to have him back in the car. But Gabriel Rousseau is a name you won't know, but a name that I certainly do, because he is an alien of note back in the day. And I haven't seen him in a sim for a long, long time. We're talking a few years. But when he wanted to be, he was fighting with the likes of Essa for the wins. So he's lapped me before. He is seriously, seriously quick. So they qualified their car in the silver class yesterday. Jason Holden-Jones put it into silver class.
With Gabriel Rousseau not doing a time.
No, not doing a time. Very interesting. So I still don't know where he sits, and he will be one to watch out for. So we've got Jason Holden-Jones in this session, but we'll keep an eye out for Gabriel Rousseau. See where he qualifies when he finally gets into that McLaren 720S.
Well, Stephen Koenig, as I mentioned earlier, joined by Etienne Klem and Janneman over there. Corne Breed in the mix. Raymond Duggan. I remember I'll never forget Duggan's surname because I shouted it so loud when there was a massive accident in one of our
never
Pro
good.
Series. He wasn't Shane. He wasn't the instigator, but he was kind of the recipient of what happened. As we just got the signal out that we're going to get going. So
He is one hell of an endurance racer, though, Raymond Duggan, because I've done the Le Mans 24 hours with him.
Wow.
So in 9 hours, he might not be there in qualifying, possibly, but in 9 hours, he won't be far off in his class, I'm pretty sure, with Corno Breed as his teammate.
Christian, the ploy now currently on screen in the Mercedes-Benz V8 with the distinctive V8 sound over there as goes through the sweeping right-hander. And I might have mentioned, and in fact I definitely mentioned this before, I went through there with one of the Van der Linde brothers in a DTM car a couple of years ago, and the downforce that you feel through there is just unbelievable. And these guys have set these cars up to be good in the high downforce sections, in the low downforce sections. Kyalami's, as far as setup goes for Kyalami, what are the pitfalls and what are the things to look for these guys, especially when it comes to qualifying that?
Yeah, I think it's a very technical track, as we've said before, and you got a subtle little name drop shoved in there. I'm hoping that I get to go around the track next week.
I've got a couple of those.
Get a few. We're looking forward to a few more next week, but it's very difficult. Obviously, I only know it from the sim world, so I'm super stoked to be able to go around this next week to really look at it and see how accurate this track is. But as a laser scan track, it should be very accurate. And as a result, we've still got the nightmare that is Leocott and how you get around there with a complete blind braking zone and a crest. And the elevation changes is what's super interesting. So it's a very technical track, and to get a full lap round here, a perfect lap, is difficult. Super difficult. Yeah. Can't fluke it.
The elevation changes are just incredible. And Leocott, it's one of those corners that you struggle to get right on a sim and in the real world. It's just a weird setup because the geometry of the corner doesn't line up with the fastest racing line. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
Yeah. So
okay.
So the real world line and the geometric line are two separate things, and you'll see the elevation. I was fortunate enough to compete in a drift competition, my very first national competition at Kyalami, and going down the mine shaft is a terrifying thing when you got to go sideways. But just the speed that you can gather going downhill on that section,
I can imagine.
It's just incredible. So, you know, as you said, you've also got to then set up for elevation changes, undulations, all of these things. So these drivers, I'm so surprised to see this car at the front end, specifically in Aston Martin. I mean, I'm not surprised by the drivers, of course, the caliber's right up there, but certainly to see an Aston Martin, I'd love to have a chat with the team about their setup and what made them decide to choose this specific car.
Yeah, it was a very calculated decision because they switched into it quite late on. There was a car change only about a week and a half ago for that team, previously running in that Audi. So they were doing testing and they found something enough to actually switch vehicles, come up with a whole new skin for it and everything. So yeah, there's a secret there. And I'm sure they won't share it. They'll never share it, and they will claim that there isn't one. But they found something, and the speed's there.
And that's what I want to know. That's what I want to get to the bottom of. I'm okay to do, if the team is listening in, I'm okay to do an off-the-record conversation.
They don't trust us. They just don't trust us, I can tell you now.
They shouldn't. But I'm very curious to see how they have figured out how to get that much pace out of that car. As we see Chris Heineke up in 4th position, that's more characteristic of the team. Chris Heineke and the boys were fighting for the lead at the last event, now in the 353 Porsche, and lots of traffic out there at the moment. Daniel Haynes, lots of traffic out there at the moment.
They all pile out of the pits right at the start, and then you've just got to wait for the session just to settle in. So yeah, we've got a bit of dicing going on in a qualifying session, which never advised, to be quite honest. It's me, John, there with Jansen van Rensburg, who's looking like he's about racing. He's going to make a pass here into turn 1. Maybe not the best idea in a hot lap situation, but he's making the most of the time.
Goes down the inside, backs it out.
Thought better of it.
Oh no, back it all the way out. It's so interesting that you say that about Crowthorne over there, which is effectively the first corner, but the kink is actually named turn 1, and it's just a flat out sweep. It's just a flat out sweep it's not actually a corner, but it's considered a corner on the circuit. And there's an interesting story about why that's the case. I'm sure one of the stewards can enlighten us on that. But it was effectively decided that they're going to call it a corner. It feels like a corner, looks like a corner. And because of the speed that the drivers hit when they get there, it's now become a corner. So I think in turn 1, Crowthorne, turn 2, as the drivers now make their way into the S's over there. And S's actually spelled E-S-S-E-S as they make their way up to Leeuwkop. Leeuwkop is where the drivers will need to go straight towards that tree over there and hit this very strange double apex over here. Down the mine shaft now, towards turn 12 they go. And the mine shaft is an absolute flat out pinned section. On board now, he's a bit slower in 4th gear, 200 kilometers an hour through there. We're switching now to Junior McCall in the ATK car over there. Junior McCall, number 60, can hear the chopper blades whirring about as Junior McCall makes his way now down the mine shaft. And now we should be able to get an idea of what the actual speeds are here. Junior McCall, 210 km an hour, 220 through the sweep, maxes out at around 229 kilometers an hour, hard into the braking zone there. Junior McCall looking very good in the ATK cars to go on board.
Just had an update from our admin staff in the background. The reason why the server didn't actually crash or anything, we actually pulled it because one of the drivers' Steam ID was incorrect, so it had to be restarted to allow one of the drivers to get in. That was the only reason. So just in case there was anyone wondering, it was actually us that pulled it down. It's just they forgot to tell the production crew, which would have been nice. So I'll give them a slap later.
Probably a good idea to let production. I know Daniel, other Daniel Casello in the background there. He's got enough stress on his hands, so we want to make his life as stressless as possible. Junior McCall up into 5th place. Michael Stephen in a very respectable 2nd place at the moment. Michael Stephen, multiple time South African champion in various disciplines, makes his way through in the Audis. He goes into the first braking zone now. 777 car, of course, joined by Zahir Essa and Stuart White. Stuart White also a multiple time winner and champion in South African motorsport. Still lots of racing to go for Stuart White, still very young. But Michael Stevens, certainly the elder statesman in the team with the most experience, at least on the black stuff. But let's see how he does here today in the virtual world through the fast sweeping right-hander of Sunset now, going to Clubhouse. Oh, runs very wide. Look at how wide they're running there, Dan. Incredibly
using
wide.
All the track, for sure,
the track and more.
Times are a little bit slower in this session, but it's sort of to be expected because session 1 was pretty much everyone's number 1 driver that they put out there, so time's a little bit slower. However, I mean, Tariq Adams is perfectly capable of getting into the 39s. His best lap so far is a 140 flat though, so still time to find, but unbelievably only 6 minutes left to go in this session already. 15 minutes goes so quick. It goes even quicker when you're in the car trying to find a spot. I think there's been quite a lot of traffic in this session, worse than session 1.
Worse than session 1 indeed, and definitely a lot of traffic here today. It must be so frustrating for these drivers as Desmond Pullen, the number 418 Porsche in 26th position, makes his way through the field. So frustrating, but he's got clear air though. Desmond's got clear air in that 426 car, and he should be just fine. Crosses the line, goes right up into 18th position. Sorry, that's the 418 car. Goes right up into 18th position as Pullen. He started off in 24th at the bottom of the Pro-Am category, so he's going to be quite happy with that. We go on board with the 333 car. That is Van der Merwe in the other Aston Martin, position number 11 so far, and they started off in 12th place. That's the LNR Steady State B team. LNR Steady State B beating out the LNR Steady State A team by 13 positions or so, 12 positions. So well done to them in the number 333 car. The fastest of their team cars.
I just want to do a shout out for the LNR group because they've been a real source of entertainment for me in the Discord channel. I think they've got 5 cars taking part in this event,
wow.
Either in Pro-Am or the Silver class. But
I see. They've got Academy, they've got Blitz as well.
Yeah, the community feeling between that group of guys, though, it's been quite funny to watch, and they're really enjoying themselves, having a great time, pushing each other on, trying to improve. They got a bit of rivalry between their own teams, but collectively together, they're just trying to do the best they can. So yeah, they've got plenty of cars throughout the field. So they're like, well, we'll just throw it all out there, and hopefully one sticks, and they get a really good result. But yeah, they've been good fun this week. Really enjoyed it.
Well, they've got 2 cars in the top 25. They've got 4 cars in total in the top 40. So, I mean, as far as teams go, certainly one of the biggest teams here and one of the most successful teams you could think of on a national scale. They managed to qualify 4 teams for this competition that I can see on the screen. They might have named one of the other ones differently, but certainly 4 teams so far qualified as Janssen van Rensburg now comes on screen in the pit lane, the 140.7. We go on board now with Gideon Renner in the brand new BMW M4. That is the One Plan car, the number 55 car. KSR, One Plan Insurance, M4 GT3. And
I think they've got a few of those teams as well, so we'll see a few more of those floating about this weekend. It's nice to see quite a few sort of doubled up cars with the same livery. It's very nice. Okay, so
I actually have to take my statement back there, Dan. KSR One Plan at the most at the moment. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3,
I think got 5 of them.
5 teams.
Yeah,
One
5,
Plan.
I think. Yeah.
So One Plan Insurance sponsoring these 5 cars, and a big shout out to them for pushing motorsport forward like this. I mean, it's always great to see companies getting involved like that. And this is David Young currently on your screen at the moment.
And times are still not there where I'd sort of expect. We're just so fast at the first session. This second session, no driver yet into the 39s. We've only got 3 minutes left plus overtime. We've got Michael Stevens has improved with 140.4, but still 4 tenths back from Tariq Adams. So the overall average from those teams is going to stay roughly where it was before with Essa and Jordan Sherratt. So it's still 1-2 for the same cars, but we're working out on averages, don't forget, so you've got to put it down to the last driver. A bit of extra pressure on driver number 3, isn't it, if everyone else is stuck their times. So there'll be a few less cars, though, a few less cars in session 3, because the two driver teams obviously will be finished by then.
Tariq Adam now making sure to get his team on the top step of
look how much up he is in his delta, 2 tenths.
Gap. Indeed, he's 2 tenths up on his delta as well, 4-tenth gap so far. Tariq Adam, as Tariq Adam now makes his way down the sweep over there into the hard right-hander. Tariq Adam with everything to play for, 2 tenths of a second up. The final sector awaits as Tariq Adam could go into the 39s. Just a couple of corners to go. Oh, over the bump there, runs a little bit wide. Now into the final corner. What will be the case? He's still 2 tenths of a second up.
Oh, he's gaining. Look at it. Oh, nearly 3. He's going to go way into the 39s here. 39.8, is it going to be? Yes, it is. 39.887, right at the death. Well done to Tariq Adams. I think he was looking for that lap. Took him a while to find it. Found a bit of clean black stuff and managed to real hook up that Aston Martin. Doesn't want to give Jordan Sherratt too much bragging rights, do we? So a 139.8 is a great effort from Tariq Adams.
Just shows that car is so solid. Tariq Adams and his team certainly are, and Luke Addison, a fantastic showing the last time. But I would imagine it's better to have 3 fast drivers than 2.
I'd think so. I would prefer it, definitely. Also, we've got a situation where you have a maximum driver allowance of 5 hours tomorrow. So obviously if you're in a 2-car team, that's 4 and 5. That's the maximum you're allowed to use. But if we get weather tomorrow, then that can muck you up a little bit. So you haven't got quite as much flexibility as a 3-car team. So they may arguably have a little bit of advantage, the 2 driver teams today in qualifying, but I would say they have a disadvantage tomorrow in the race with not having that flexibility to cope with weather and changing their stint patterns throughout that 9-hour race.
William Wentworth there in the number 934 car, currently in position number 31. William Wentworth in the BMW, another one of the BMWs there. So many BMWs in this field. They're not as fast as they used to be. Another One Plan Insurance car there, and I'm going to do a shout out for the One Plan guys because
they're earning their money, aren't they?
They are. One Plan Health Insurance. Make the smart
Are they covering all the crashes during the next 2 days worth of events?
Well, hopefully
I might
not,
think otherwise.
Hopefully not, because they do hospital cover, so
Right.
I hope they won't be needed. But you can check
not
them out
required.
in one plan. No. You can check them out at oneplan.co.za. Potentially they do other things as well. But go check them out for oneplan.co.za for a health insurance quote.
I mean, you after a job there, Ernest?
Yeah, I'm after a sponsorship. Maybe they need another BMW driver. I don't know.
That's a voiceover audition right there if I ever heard one. So the clock's hit 0, guys. So this is your last chance if you're on a hot lap. Michael Stevens is 2 tenths up on his lap. So he's maybe looking to improve. Everyone else, though, they have to finish this lap. It's their last possible opportunity to improve their team's average time as we head towards Super Pole at a rapid pace.
Unbelievably rapid pace. I mean, that went so quickly. David Young there in position number 17, the name on the screen. We're just waiting for our producer to let us know what the next step is as the drivers cross the line one after the next. Some of the drivers not happy with their time. Some of them certainly are. But Junior McCall there in 9th position. We've got Seshaba in 11th position. Robin van der Merwe in 12th. Dane Hall in 13th position. Alan Patterson down in 17th, currently in the pit lane. And bringing up the rear there, Evan Ali's over there. As we now go to ads, just one more session remaining, folks. Then we jump straight to the Super Bowl. See you guys after this break.
The Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli, heads to South Africa for the world-famous Joburg Kyalami 9-hour. On the 5th of February 2022, the season finale promises to draw to an epic African conclusion. This is the premier GT series in the world, and you could be part of the action. With the title yet to be decided, Audi, Ferrari and Mercedes-AMG have unsettled business on the blacktop. For more information and ticket sales, visit www.kyalami9hour.com.
Oh, just 1 week to go till the real Kyalami 9-hour hits our shores, folks. I cannot wait to go, Dan. I cannot wait. I'm leaving on Monday morning first thing, so I'm going to be knackered afterwards. You're only coming later on in the week, eh?
I'm coming Monday afternoon, mate.
What?
I'm there Monday afternoon.
Do what? Do what?
Well, they said they wanted me to supervise you, so I'll be there on Tuesday, just as your bodyguard. You know, just sort of shadowing you around and learning.
Just
But I will be
FYI,
there
for those
on
that
Monday.
don't know, I'm 5'7" and Dan is what?
6'7". I've got a foot on you. So I don't know how this combination's going to work next week, but we'll have to get you a box or some platforms or something.
Get the bleep ready for us. Get the bleep ready. You're gonna have a foot up your.
There we go. Yeah,
Dan's got
our production guy is going to really enjoy that little segue. But it's going to be interesting. But I mean, I'm so excited to go up there. It's going to be epic. I mean, we're going to be knackered because we finish tomorrow late.
Yeah.
You've got to go straight on a plane, and then we got all of next week. It's going to be burning the midnight oil for the week. But we've got the virtual one to do first, and I'm also just as excited as that. We're 2 sessions through, only 1 session to go until we get arguably the most exciting part of the weekend in Super Pole Shootout. I love that. One lap is all that you get. That's superb.
I've always loved that format of racing to watch. To do, not my favorite, but certainly to watch. It is one of my favorite types of formats because it means the drivers have to focus so freaking hard to be able to get the most out of the car. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. And we're now going to be putting these drivers in that position right now.
Yeah, the pressure cooker. I mean, so we're going on averages now, but that doesn't mean that if all of a sudden Luke Addison just does a blistering 39 and they get first in this first section, if you like, they've only got 1 lap to get pole, haven't they? So I'm going to put it down to like, I'll give Essa 1 lap any day of the week, and I'll know he's going to give me a good time. So that's going to be epic. So now
Essa is one of those guys that's able to do that, isn't he? He's able to get that 1 lap.
100%.
He's able to do
100%.
that 1 lap wonder. He's that guy. But
The only
are
issue
the
is
other
Jordan
drivers-
Sherritt's also pretty capable, isn't he? So it's going to be interesting. But
Jordan
anything can
Sherritt's
happen
handy
in one
behind the
lap.
wheel. Jordan Sherritt's
Very
handy
much so.
behind the wheel. Let's put it that way. So I'll be keen to see how this is going to go. Man, and this is exciting stuff. It's coming down to the wire, but we still got one more session to go. We still got one more group of drivers to go. The third drivers, if you have one, will now be driving. So if the drivers don't have a third driver, they will be sitting this one out and joining us on the stream. Speaking of which, after your next little chit chat, Dan, I'm gonna go check out the comments in the stream over here and see what the guys are saying.
I did tell everyone in the Discord channel that they must, it's an actual requirement. If you're a 2-driver team and you're finished, you've got to join us for a drink now for enjoying session 3.
I saw that.
It's got to happen.
I've got my drink over here, but it's not the kind of drink that you guys think. It's my, I would lift it up, it's a bit hot. It's my tea that I'm getting ready over here. My honey tea. Thanks, shout out to the guys at 80K for sorting that out. But going to the comments here, we've got KSR has 5 cars, says Bernard King. Hilton Sim Racing says yes. Is Sean Buck in the mix here? Says all for South African working with all great communities. But someone once told me this, and I'm going to be honest, Dan. I didn't get this at first, right? When I used to sim race. Well, we'll talk about it after the break. We're going to go to ads first, and then after that, we'll talk about the community and how important the community is. More about that after the break.
The 2022 season is upon us, and South Africa finally has an FIA-approved GT3 series. 6 rounds, 12 races, including the prestigious Kyalami 9-hour. The fastest South African drivers will compete on equal terms thanks to a complex system called balance of performance. Before each round, there will be an almost identical virtual round. This is South African GT Racing, and we'll see you in 2022.
Yeah, so as I was saying earlier on, Dan, the community aspect of this is just incredibly important, isn't it?
Oh, massively, hugely. And that's what's been so nice to see, the community spirit in the Discord channel for the last few weeks. It has been epic, and I think it's something to be proud of, this South African sim race. It's quite a close-knit community. We all know each other quite well, and there's a little bit of banter between it, but it never gets out of hand or mean, and it's lovely. And I really enjoyed being a part of it in the last few weeks, I have to say. And now it's a crescendo this weekend as the pride gets put in place and who's going to come out as champion.
Yeah, Alan Mawa in the stream here says community is hella important. And as I said, it's something that I got wrong in the beginning of my journey, is importance thereof and what this is, because this is a community sport. And here we are, one of the biggest sim racing communities now involved, taking part, collaborating to bring you the biggest sim racing event of its kind in South Africa. I mean, just incredible as Lehan the Toy makes his way into 7th position in the number 885 car, 12 minutes remaining. This, the final run of qualifying.
Just if anyone's interested, I've had a message from Wayne Riddell, who is an official at the real Kyalami 9-hour next week, and he informs me the reason why the kink is a turn is because actually any corner that requires more than 15 degrees of steering input it has to be classified as a corner. So there you go. There's just enough there. That
Didn't
the
I
kink
tell
is
you that the
T1.
stewards were going to give us an interesting story on that one?
I love it. Yeah, brilliant. So for us sim racers, Crowthorne's turn 1, but it's not. It's turn 2 because you need 15 degrees of steering input, and that seems like not a lot. But it is something that if you didn't do it, you're going off the circuit, isn't it? So there you go. It's a corner.
You're going off the circuit at the fastest part of the track. Probably not a good idea. Probably not a good idea.
Not at all. So we're in the 3rd session now, and we've got who we got on screen. Luke Addison is the 3rd driver in this custom cut IT Solutions Aston Martin, who have been flawless so far. Session 1 topping the table, Session 2 topping the table. Can Luke Addison make it a hat-trick and get themselves into Super Bowl in 1st position? That means they're going to go last, though. Not really sure I'd want to go last, Dennis. Do you want to go last? You get to watch everyone else go and then just the pressure builds and you're the last one out with 1 lap to pull it out the bag. Oh,
Definitely don't want to go last. Definitely do not want to go last, especially because this is, as we said earlier on, it's a team effort. This is a situation where the drivers, if your team does well for the first 2 drivers, you now get handed the key to this car, and it's kind of like an or else moment, isn't it? You have to perform or else.
100%. And then the person that gets the key right at the end for Super Pole, he has to perform and he only gets 1 lap to do it. So, yeah, I'm glad I'm in commentary enjoying this with the rest of you guys that have joined us, and the watch count has come up nicely. So all those people, the 2 driver teams, have done exactly as I commanded, and they've joined us here in chat to watch the final session. And Luke Addison has immediately gone a 140.5. Got plenty to find there. Stuart White in 141. Bit of a common story. We've seen the Masterclass boys second best to the custom cut IT solutions in these early qualifying sessions. And Marcus Stain up there in the Slick Racing Crew Porsche in 4th place. They really did feature quite heavily in our first attempt at this Kyalami 9 hour. So
yeah,
I will be expecting to see a bit more of this orange Porsche tomorrow as we go through an endurance session where there is a lot more than just hot lap pace. So yeah, nothing against these real quick guys, but over 9 hours, consistency is key. A bit of luck as well, especially with weather and tyres and strategy. So it's anyone's game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But at the moment, it's so interesting for me to see that as we look at Wesley Hampson, shout out to Weza over there. Luke Addison gets the new fastest lap with a 40.5. But Wesley Hampson, the die-hard Lexus fan, has finally changed over to a BMW. Some would say that Toyota and BMW are basically the same car these days. But
it looks similar as well, doesn't it? To be fair, if you took that massive grille and just slapped it on the front of a Lexus, you could sort of double take there, I think, with a livery on there, possibly.
Yeah,
it's not a huge transition.
Big shout out to our man Wesley Hampson over there, currently in 14th position, as we go to Gerrit van Vieren in the number 333 car 7, and you would recognize that number 333 because that is again the Eleanor steady state car. Anthony Wilson, Robin van der Merwe, Gerrit Janssen van Vieren there in that car in 7th position. Well done for him. I mean, they qualified that thing in Pro-Am yesterday. So they were in 12th place in Pro-Am yesterday. So let's see how they do as they make their way into the top 10.
And that's going to be a huge story tomorrow and something that I'm really looking forward to. We've got obviously the top 10 pro guys, and in qualifying session today, it's natural that we're going to pay a little bit more attention to those because it is all about time. So the pro class and with the Super Pole coming up is where our focus is today. But tomorrow our focus shifts completely, really, because with that Pro-Am and the silver class, I think is going to be just as competitive, maybe even arguably more competitive than the Pro Series. So we've got 3 championships, if you like, 3 classes going at it. And the other ones have got 15 cars in. So we're going to be spending a lot of time with the Pro-Am guys. We're going to be spending a lot of time with the Silver Cup guys. Everyone's going to get an opportunity to partake in this race. And I can't wait tomorrow. We've got 3 races in 1 race, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what you want, though. You want to give the guys the ability to be able to, at any level in their journey, as they're improving, because all of these guys are improving one day after the next, to be able to get that podium position. The 11th qualifier in yesterday's seeding will be able to get that top spot in the Pro-Am category. So you've got these little championships within a championship. It's fantastic stuff. It gives the audience more to enjoy, it gives the drivers more to play for, and it gives us, the commentators, a little bit more to talk about.
Yeah, and we saw some Pro-Am cars mixing it with the Pro class by the sort of 3rd, 4th hour, and then we saw some silver cars right up there in the Pro-Am class as well. So you can go for an overall victory in your class and a substantial good result overall as well. So there's some bragging rights to be had, and I think you don't want to write some of these Pro-Am cars off. They're going to be right up there. In fact, we might even get 1 or 2 of them in the Super Pole. It's hard for us to see their current positions right now, but we've got a whole admin team that I can guarantee you in the background, they are frantically working to try and collate the times already from sessions 1 and 2, because we've got to fire up and build a server specifically for Super Pole. So we have a slightly longer break after this session whilst that gets done, and some frantic work in the background. But it's going to be interesting to see whether a few of those Pro-Am guys can just sort of put a cat amongst a pigeon and get into that top 10, I reckon there'll be one.
Yeah, definitely cats amongst the pigeons. There'll be a few cats amongst these pigeons, that's for sure. But someone that isn't being a pigeon at the moment is Stuart White in second position. He's flying at the moment with a time of 140.8. And I'm sure he's going to be going much faster. He jumps to the pit lane, though, as the next car makes its way around the final corner. You can just hear that's a Mercedes-Benz just by the sound of that engine over there. Just look at the South African flag poised in the middle.
Such a good corner, this, isn't it? It's always used in all the press shots with the pit buildings and the painting. I mean, that is, when you see that picture, I mean, I know it's got Kyalami written on the red section, but you don't need it. It just screams South Africa, doesn't it? Superb.
And that's exactly the thing. When Toby Fenter redesigned the circuit and the team put the circuit together, they wanted to make an iconic section. They wanted to make an iconic corner. That wasn't always the case. They didn't always look that way. So with a new look like that, it just looks absolutely incredible. And here's another little brag for you, Dan. I've been up on a chopper above Kyalami, and it looks like it does in the game.
When are these ever going to stop, these little
never,
little
they're never going to stop. But the cool thing is, next week you'll have your own.
Okay, good. I can't wait until this. When we run this event again in November, I'm going to be just like Ernest, coming out of my little brags. But in the meantime, I've just got to shut up and listen. But I think it's job done for Luke Addison and Stuart White at this point. They've got their bankers in. Yes, they're still going around to improve, but they already know that their average times is comfortably in the top 10. So they can just sit back and just relax and try and, I mean, they might come out of their PBs now because the pressure's off, but they've already got their bankers in. That's all they needed to do. Quite a few of these cars will be guaranteed spots into Super Pole already. So that's it. You just need to get a lap on the board, doesn't it? You really don't need to worry too much about the time when your teammates have done it for you already.
And that's exactly it. When the number one driver does what a number one driver is supposed to do, and a number two driver does what a number two driver is supposed to do, the third driver has none of the pressure, especially once, as you said, he puts in a banker. Someone goes off the circuit, the flag comes up. He puts in a bit of a banker, and then we're all sorted. Then the team's happy. And you can't always depend. I don't think the teams are depending on the third drivers to dredge them out of problem situations, although sometimes that might be the case. But certainly for the top two teams, they've performed as expected with the top drivers doing what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, for the Sim Racing Masterclass guys, they've come off second best this time, but it's still a long weekend ahead.
Yeah, but how good would that feel if they can poach pole position in a minute in Super Pole? So no one's going to want to miss that.
Indeed.
With one lap, and you've got Essa versus, I'm imagining, Sherratt with the quickest time. Essa versus Sherratt for Super Pole. What if they both push too hard and neither of them get it? What a turn up for the books that'll be. So 3 minutes to go, and then a little bit of a time to collate the results, and we'll be there. It's super exciting stuff, edge of your seat stuff, I think. We'll have a little 10-minute session where you just won't be able to turn your eyes off of it.
Well, Essa got the best of Sherratt when they competed in the Pro Series a while ago. Dan, what's happened since then? What's happened in the community races where two have gone head-to-head? What have we seen in the past?
Well, I haven't actually seen them go head-to-head since that Pro Series, so it's been a long time. So no one knows. We'll have to wait and see. Going to be really interesting. So it really is a battle of the giants of South African sim racing between those two. A lot of pride on the line as well, I'm sure. But we keep going back to it. 9 hours is no longer a 15-minute session, and I think these guys have come up against each other in the international scene that I've been a part of, but here in South Africa, I haven't seen them come up against each other. So it's nice to have basically all drivers from all communities come together for this one series and special event that is the Kyalami 9-hour.
Is that the case, Dan? Have a lot of drivers come together for this event?
Oh, 100% they have. Yeah, they've come from all parts of the community. There's no rivalry here. We've got drivers from Raceface, we've got drivers from Sim Race South Africa, drivers from all parts of the sim racing world, including other games and other sims that have all taken this on board and think, no, Kyalami 9-hour, that is something special that I want to be involved with. And that was the original goal of this series, to try and unite the sim racing community. And it's definitely succeeded so far. And it's a pleasure to see people come together from different communities that maybe possibly would have been rivals in the past. Put that to one side and it's like, no, let's all race together and have something epic. And yeah, we're going to see it. It's going to be really good. And then you'll get a bit of bracket rights on who came out on top from which community tomorrow. So don't get me wrong, it's going to be mentioned for the rest of the year, I'm sure.
Yeah, indeed, of course. But this is the thing, when it comes to these big year-end events, when it comes to the once-a-year sort of events, that is what it's about. I mean, there's no championship here. This is even the real world one that's happening next week. Yes, there is the Intercontinental GT Challenge, but certainly if you're just a team that's not even in the running for that competition and you win it, you've still won the Kyalami 9-hour. So I definitely think bragging rights is where it's at. Stuart White now makes his way across the finish line. Not his best time by a long shot, but he's now going to try one more time. They've got 37 seconds left, so he can do one more lap as Stuart White makes his way into the first turn in the Audi with a massive slatted Z across the screen as we switch cars there. Oh, Brandon Kruger. Somebody's off the circuit there. We cut to Brandon Kruger in the number 44 ATK car. The customary V8 rumble of that Mercedes-Benz cutting through the air, the Pirelli sign in the background there as they make their way through the final sector. And even here you can see the slight undulations and bumps and sort of hilly sections of the circuit. Every section has its own little uphill, downhill formation as Coach Dave Academy greets us in the background there. The ATK car gets across the line with a time of, let's see, 140.637 is best. In second position, Brandon Kruger goes second position there with a 140.637.
Wow, right at the death.
Wow. Right.
That's great, isn't it?
End does Brandon Kruger. Did not see that one coming. And 140.637.
Luke Addison got it into the 39s in the end. So they had 3 drivers, the only team to get every driver into the alien 39 time, the sort of coveted time for Kyalami. So super, super consistent from that team.
Unbelievable. We're going to finish up for now, folks. We'll be right back. And then, of course, we're going straight into Super Pole, my favorite part of the day. We'll see you guys shortly. William Wentworth saying in the stream here that scones and high tea. I wouldn't mind, William Wentworth. I wouldn't mind at all. But you know what I also wouldn't mind, Dan, is Super Pole, my friend. A couple of minutes time, we're going to be seeing the fastest sim races in the country. Trying to figure out.
I think we should switch. I think we should switch accents sometimes, Ernest. You're there having tea and scones. And here I am, the British guy.
I can do a pretty good British accent.
Okay, we won't ask you. I don't need to steal that from me as well. But now this is the time when we get to relax, drink some tea, drink some coffee, drink a few beers, possibly if you're watching in the stream and you know you're not partaking into Super Pole. But the admin guys behind are sweating. They're going through their Excel sheets. They're making sure their formulas work. They've tested everything and they're just trying to spew out the results. So as quickly, and then they've got to build a server. It's only a 10 grid server, but they've still got to do it, build it, get it running, get the drivers in there. So we've got a little bit of a break. We'll be a bit patient. But what the story really was the custom cut IT Solutions car won every session. Very, very impressive. Super consistent. Some of those guys at the end took a little bit of time to get to their ultimate pace, but any car in the 39s is insane. So now they got one lap to do it.
If there was to be a worldwide competition, Dan, how many guys would get into the 39s?
You can't beat it, but the 39 is the holy grail for Kyalami on this game. There's so many guys can't get there. And we've had a 39 in every single session, and we had quite a few in our qualifying. So this is world class. We're talking world class times here, as in if they entered any international race and you're in the 39s, you are solidly top 5. Doesn't matter who you are or where you are. So it's very, very, very high standard. Can they get a 39 in Super Pole? Then I would be impressed when you've got one lap. Do you hold back a little bit? Because you don't want to start 10th, do you? Would it be the end of the world to start 2nd, 3rd? You don't want to start if you get an invalidated lap. You start
now. You're getting my strategy brain going over here because, as you say with Super Bowl, how hard were they pushing to get that 39? And by they, it's going to be the drivers that they nominate for Super Bowl, right? So let's say you've got George Sherritt, Zaire Essa, and Daniel Rowe now going at it for the top 3 positions. How hard were they pushing on their best laps early on? And that's really what Super Bowl's about. How quickly are you able to get to that maximum attack position within one lap? I know that Zaire Essa can do it. We know that. We've seen Jordan Sherritt do it. But certainly of the two, I think Zaire Essa is the cooler head, and will cooler heads prevail. And then, of course, we've got Daniel Rowe thrown into the mix as well.
I think you got to remember, though, Essa got a 39.9, Jordan Sherritt 39.5. Yeah. So Jordan Sherritt taking it easy and coasting could be a 39.9.
39.9. Yeah.
So he's got a little bit of leeway there. Doesn't have to go full bore because he's comfortable. But knowing Jordan Sherritt as we do from watching another series, I've never known him to just be comfortable. So he's going to push. I'm pretty sure he's going to push. Knowing Essa as well, he's going to push. Those guys are going, what are you on about? Of course I'm not going to lift. I'm not going to put a banker in. I got one lap.
Well, Jordan Sherritt used to, in the Pro Series, park his car in the pits, watch everybody go down, and just do one hot lap and then set the fastest time. I mean, it was incredible to see.
This one hot lap session then, doesn't he?
But the thing is, could it be, and we all wondered what that was about, why he was doing that. Could it be that this is what it's about? That he's getting his mindset to the point where he's able to easily translate to a situation like this?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be easier for a 39 to come out of Sherritt. Remember, the track temperatures we've got here are not cold, guys. It's obviously to simulate real world. So if we shove track temperatures way down, these times would come crashing down. You'd be low 39s. Might even get a guy into a 38. But that's not the case. And the conditions that we've got here, I'm telling you now, these are world-class times. And I just think that
so these conditions aren't optimal. These conditions aren't optimal.
Well, the track surface is optimal, but the track temperature is not. As in, cooler is quicker generally. Get cooler temperatures on the track. Your tires last a little bit longer. They don't screen quite so much. You can get a little bit more grip for the end of your lap, and it will affect times in a one lap situation. So the track temperature, or the ambient temperature use of 23 degrees, is probably realistic for where it is in Joburg right now. That's the entire point. But I did a sim race.
I checked the weather. I checked the weather this morning. That's what we're looking at. And we also, coincidentally, might have rain next weekend as well, as it always does at Kyalami. And I wonder what's going to... Speaking of rain, do you think we're going to have rain tomorrow? Because as it always rains at Kyalami, that's a saying. It always rains at Kyalami. It always rains at Spa.
I do know the weather settings for tomorrow because I was the one last night testing them with the admin staff. So if I need any bribes in DM... you can put them through to me and they will be deleted immediately because I will not give out the weather settings tomorrow. However, what I will say...
tea bags.
No, I do something quite substantially better than the tea bag. A bottle of something would be nice. Anyway, all I will say, because we've got plenty of people watching, all I will say is it's not 23 degrees optimum grip for 9 hours because that would be unrealistic and a little bit dull. So anyone that knows ACC knows that, I mean, you're in the lap of the gods when it comes to setting weather settings on this sim. It is a bit of a fine art and there's definitely a bit of science about it. But at the end of the day, there's also quite a lot of luck. So we simulated a huge amount of weekends to try and get as close as we can to the current forecast that is Kyalami next weekend, which go and get your phones out and then come back to me. And you'll see that it might not be quite as comfortable as it has been for qualifying today. So I hope they've tried a little bit of varied weather practice, let's just put it that way, as well as their nighttime practice.
Well, I've just got some comments over here. We've got Elric Enslin in the shout out to Elric Enslin. Around half the grid would be in the 39s. You see in most big league Kyalami races, you see the top drivers hitting low 39s and the colder temps they drop down to 38s. We've also got somebody in Johannesburg at the moment saying that Andries Bester says that it is raining at Kyalami right this second. So we could probably, so we could probably look forward to some rain. And at 23 degrees, at Kyalami now. Super Pole is going to be very interesting. We've got 10 drivers and only 10 drivers that will be fighting it out for Super Pole. Dan, these 10 drivers, you asked the question earlier on, where do they want to end up? What position do they want to end up? Is second position the end of the world? A 9-hour race doesn't matter, but there's a lot of head games that go into this. And I always say, you want to go to bed the night before a race with the biggest mental advantage possible. And that advantage is to stick it on pole position.
Yeah, definitely. The confidence in the team, the morale that it brings, the momentum that it goes. Even if you lose into turn 2, I'm going to say turn 2 to keep Wayne Riddell happy. If you lose it into turn 2, then it's not going to matter. But you're quite right. You're just going to sleep that little bit better tonight. The team morale is going to be right up there. So there's a lot at stake. However, anyone that's got into this top 10, that's a good place to start, isn't it? Where you don't want to be starting is like 25th or something. That would be in the mid-pack. Going into Crowthorne is going to be, you're going in there, squeaky bum time right there. But the top 5 are going to see a bit of empty track ahead of them. So if they get away cleanly, the most important thing is to get away cleanly, not necessarily the position that you come out of Crowthorne in. As we saw last time with the Slick Racing Porsche, I believe, firing it up the inside, starting the race from the front, and it didn't last, so it wasn't so important. But you're quite right, there's so much to be said for a nice night's sleep tonight. I'm happy from being on pole position.
Yeah, and so you're rightly so. Slick Racing was right in front for quite a time and absorbing so much pressure from Zaire Issa. I mean, that was a masterclass in how to absorb pressure, but unfortunately it didn't go their way in the end, as Sim Racing Masterclass took the lead and kept it for quite some time until the race was ended. But we're going to be seeing Sim Racing Masterclass, Custom Cut IT Solutions, Scuderia, Slick Racing, and a bunch of others mix it up. We're just waiting for those results, and then we can finally tell you guys exactly who will be fighting it out for that top spot. I mean, Dan, 10 drivers. What do you think the sentiment is for driver number 10? What would their ideal outcome be for the driver that's in 10th position going into this shootout?
He's got it easy. That's the one that I wouldn't mind having, eh? You're already chuffed. You got into the top 10. You snuck it just into Super Pole. What a result for the team. And you're the first one out. No one sees you. You just think, well, what have I got to lose? You literally go big or go home because you were starting 10th anyway. So if you can suddenly poach a few places in Super Pole with a few other people messing up their laps, then you're going to be a hero in your team. You'll be as if you've put it on pole, even if you got 7th or 6th position, say. So your job's done. You get one more opportunity to go up, don't you, if you've qualified 10th?
Well, then you've got the other factor of who are the drivers that have qualified in the top 10 that are not pros. Are there pro-am teams that are now going to be fighting out in the top 10? And that's what I'm also interested to see. So we've got a lot of information heading your way, folks. The results are currently being tallied up, and they will be done shortly. We just got the signal that the results will be done very shortly. And then we're going to go straight into the top 10 shootout. And this is where it's at, man. This is where it's at, Dan. This is what we've been waiting for today, at least. Tomorrow, we're going to be waiting for the 9 hours of virtual Kyalami. But right now, it's all about who can get that top spot, who can make it count. 10 drivers, there's only one winner. But again, it's a 9-hour race. There's all this importance being put on these various aspects. But in total, there's going to be 10 hours of us broadcasting. It's only going to be one winner at the end. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Man, it's the in-between that's the fun bit, isn't it?
It is indeed. And I've got a little sneaky insider as being one of the admins that I can look at the raw data, and I've just seen the top 10. The server is spooling up as we speak. And there is 2 Pro-Am class drivers that have snuck their car into the Pro Series of the top 10. So we've got ATK Sim Racing. They've got 5th position in the Mercedes AMG. There you go. Everyone said the Merc was slow at Kyalami, and then you get a top 10. So maybe not quite so slow, eh? No, it's great to see the Mercedes there. Obviously, the Mercedes are taking part next weekend as well. 2 factory Mercedes teams. I'm very much looking forward to hearing that car, especially. So we've got one in our top 10 shootout here. KSR One Plan Insurance 316. also just snuck a Pro-Am car into the pro section.
I feel like every time we mention
ninth.
One Plan Insurance,
You've got to do a voiceover.
I've got to do a voiceover.
But obviously, a custom car.
But this is what you get when you enter 5 cars into a competition. You get your name mentioned a whole bunch of times, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the tactic right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Whether you're winning or not. I mean, Custom Cut, the guys they're in front and they're going to be getting their mentions anyways. Grumpy Monkey and the rest of the guys, but certainly there is something in numbers. And speaking of numbers, here come the results, folks, as the race standings now get onto the screen. Custom Cut, of course, on top of the standings. Sim Racing Masterclass 5/10 of a second down. Just behind them, Scribanti Racing gets third place. And as mentioned earlier on, PWSR makes it into fourth, Dan. And they are much, much faster than they were in the seeding yesterday.
Yeah, in the Porsche 911 as well, Kieran Patterson is so familiar with 488 Ferrari. Interesting to see him switch to a different car. He was also in a 720S earlier this week, so he's starting to move around the manufacturers as Kieran Patterson, but that's a great time from them. They'll be happy with the top 4 spot. But the big story really is ATK Sim Racing in 5th, a Pro-Am class. It's not just dipped its toe into the top 10, it's like wedged itself right into the middle of it. So we've got a Pro-Am Mercedes in 5th.
And then, of course, Faster Than You Racing in 6th position. And as you mentioned, and we've spoken about them before, Seshaba, Prince, and Koketso Pilane, definitely guys to watch out for. I think this is the beginning of their ATK, at least for Pilane, his sim racing career when it comes to this specific sim. I mean, he played Gran Turismo before this. I'm quite interested to see how he makes the transition and improves over the next couple of months. I'm sure he's going to be getting faster still. And tomorrow he's got some time to improve himself in the virtual Kyalami 9 hour. BWR Vipers in 7th position. They were 10th. Hannes van Wyk, Mark Jansen van Rensburg, only 2 drivers there. Slick Racing, the 353 car, also in a Porsche. So surprisingly, we've got a whole bunch of Porsches there in the top. That's Leslie Oliphant and the boys in 8th position. They were 4th in seeding, but they are now in 8th place. And I'm sure they're not going to be happy with that. I do suspect, as far as racecraft go, Leslie Oliphant is exceptionally fast. And if they put him in first, he might be able to mix it up with the front runners. KSR, One Plan Insurance in the Pro-Am category, making it into the top 10. Grumpy Monkey in 10th position. And lots and lots of mixes. A notable mention, LNR Academy, the first of the Silver Cup guys.
Yes, and they've done brilliantly to get into 18th position, haven't they? What a result that is. So,
well done.
Very, very good. I just thought it was interesting that we've got so many BMWs that taken part this weekend, and the very first one is only in 11th spot. So I wonder if that's an ominous thing for BMW, with that car actually its first real-life season being this year. It ran in the Dubai 24-hour a couple of weekends ago. Didn't quite go fully to plan. It's going to maybe be a difficult year for BMW. We're not sure. It's certainly a very popular car, and it'll be one to watch out for. Got quite a few new brands coming into the GT3 world. Yesterday, I saw the announcement of a new Ford Mustang GT3 will join in the 2024 season. That will be very interesting for coming back into GT3 racing. But we've got a lot of Porsches in the top 10, and that's not quite surprising because historically Kyalami has been a bit of a Porsche circuit. But it's very unusual to see an Aston Martin top in the field. So nice mix of brands, and that is exactly what we want to see. Aston Martin, Audi, Lamborghini, Porsche, Merc, 5 different brands in the top 5.
Bentley in the mix as well. They're in 13th position. Lamborghini in 3rd place. Scuderia with Meraki Motorsport, the other Lamborghini, in 17th position. Second in Silver Cup team. Are we there yet? Isn't that your boy... in the Silver Cup?
It is indeed. Gabriel Rizzo and Jason Holden-Jones in 20th, so they're miles out of position in silver class, aren't they? Bit of sandbagging went on there yesterday, I believe. They might get a bit of stick from those 2 drivers, because I think they're gonna be hot on for fighting for the win in that silver class division tomorrow. Very competitive, I think, the silver class.
The big losers so far, White Rabbit Gaming in 40th position. What happened there? Do we have any insight?
They had one driver that couldn't partake. Yeah, so they'll be starting from the back. It was the one pro class driver where they couldn't field their whole side for today's qualifying session. So their average time gets slashed with a penalty, and as they were the only ones, they're going to start dead last. So it's going to be one hell of a start for White Rabbit Gaming tomorrow, White Rabbit Racing.
Man,
and that is
what
Charles
a
Wilkins'
pity.
team.
Yes, what a pity. That's Christopher Radloff, Charles Wilkins, Bruno Cadile. We mentioned them earlier on, and unfortunately, they are now not in the running, and they're going to have to do what our boy Daniel Rowe had to do the last time, and make his way through the field, carve his way through the field. BWR
I'm not
Eagles
complaining.
and SSL, yeah, that's always exciting to watch. SSRL, also Pro-Am drivers starting right at the back, so they're not going to be happy about that at all. But for the most part, things are as they should be. But definitely the top 10, to have 2 Pro-Am cars in the top 10, I mean, that is just phenomenal stuff.
We got 6 drivers in the server already, guys. It's not long. The Super Pole is going to be here. They're populating the server. They're already going around on circuit. I'm seeing it on my other screen. So we just need the last couple to join, and the wait will be over. You're never going to want to miss this. 10 minutes or thereabouts. A bit more, isn't it? We're about 15 minutes, and then it's going to be just insane. Anyone could take pole. Is it going to be Custom Cut IT Solutions? Odds on favourite, more than odds on favourite to take pole. Surely just any time. I mean, the average time of a 1:39.7 for that team, half a second up from Sim Racing Masterclass. I mean, they just need an average lap, don't they? Jordan Sherritt just needs a warm-up lap. He can be weaving down the straight, warming his tyres up.
How do you get that kind of advantage against that team in that car? I mean, I'm flabbergasted that they've got an Aston on the top spot. I'm flabbergasted that they're that far ahead of the team that was that far ahead of everybody else the last time. They say, there's a saying that goes, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And that's exactly what's been happening now. It looks like they might be the men to beat the man that is Zahir Issa.
And we got the top 10 only split by 1.1 second. That's pretty impressive, considering it's an average over about 26 drivers of all of their times. A second splitting our Super Pole field. I mean, a second, you think of a second.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. A couple of a little bumper here and there. But exactly. And the thing is, but these guys are so good though. They're all averagely so good. I mean, how can the first team, it just blows my mind, all of them in the 39s, in a situation where 39 is as fast as anybody's going to go. So they've put together the best possible team for this event. I mean, and that's what you want. You want to have the smallest discrepancy between all 3 drivers. You don't have a situation here where guys are getting into the same seat. They have to fit the same seat belts, etc., etc., etc. You've got a situation where you've got potentially the guys in their own rigs at home, but they all have to be able to deliver on the day. So you've now got a situation certainly with the top spot drivers, where all 3 of them can come within very, very close times of each other. I mean, that is the dream team right there, isn't it?
Really is. And I mean, the server's now almost full, and they're going round. I mean, this is where the pressure builds, and this is what I was saying earlier. I wouldn't want to go last. I mean, I love it. It's brilliant for us to watch in the stream. I'm loving commentating on it. But if you're in 10th place, there's no pressure whatsoever. If you finish last, you started where you finish where you started. This is like a double or quits gamble, isn't it? You'd like Custom Cut IT Solution go, no, I'll take my first place already. It doesn't work that way. They could be starting 10th if it all went wrong. And that's what makes it so entertaining to watch. Whoever come up with this format, he's a genius. He wasn't a race driver. He was a marketeer. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Remember, Formula One tried it at one stage, didn't they?
Yeah. And I like it. I should bring it back.
I liked it too. And I'm not a Formula One historian by any stretch, but I certainly do like that one and done sort of thing. But it's not going to work for all cars, because not all cars are designed to go maximum attack just once, out of the bag. Especially, when you've got a car that's got to drive at that kind of pace for 2 hours. Maybe the cars aren't suited to that. The tires technology might have been different back then. But where we're at right now, GT3 racing, one of the most popular series in the world, and South African GT also now. I was talking about this. Oh God, you're gonna love this. I was talking about this on radio this morning.
Here we go, chat. Listen to
I was going to
I'll
do
get my
English
bleep
accent.
machine ready.
I'm first going to practice my English accent tonight before I try and impersonate you live. But we were talking about the obviously Kyalami 9 Hour and how important it is to have feeder series. For the first time now, we've got a series where drivers, let's say someone like Jordan Shedid, can go from sim racing GTs to racing GTs in South Africa to going overseas to race GTs in exactly the same type of car. We never had that before in South African motorsport. Our drivers would often get that side. If they went to a Formula Ford festival, for example, they do well, but now they got to go race something else completely different, and they don't know the team, they don't know the tracks, they know nothing about nothing there, and they've got to adapt and survive, and they often come back as failed race car drivers. That is very often the South African story. Whereas now you can put drivers in this car, in a GT3 car, virtual first, then the championship locally, and then jump overseas. It's a very exciting time for motorsport and a very exciting time for South African motorsport specifically.
Yeah, and it's an exciting time for South African drivers as well, because as you quite rightly said, we've done really well in the GT3 class worldwide. We've got Jordan Pepper racing in the Daytona 24 Hours, literally right now for Inception Racing. Was supposed to race in the Kyalami 9 Hour, but he's obviously doing the Daytona 24. Kelvin van der Linde had an awesome season in DTM this year. He could have taken the championship, and he will be racing for Audi next week. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on. Let's move on. Fan favorite, move on. We won't discuss. But anyway, he will be racing next week, and it is a huge success, though, isn't it? We want the South African drivers to do well. We give them their support. We will be supporting Inception Racing Team for the Daytona 24 Hour, going in the Pro-Am category, I believe. In the 720S they're running.
Well, South African drivers have historically been very fast. Jody Scheckter, obviously 1979 Formula One champion. His brother competing in Formula One as well. But the thing is, over the years, we've had lots and lots of our drivers go overseas and do well in karting. We've won multiple international karting championships. We've won Shane Williams, for example, very successful campaign overseas as well. He was one of the first of the new breed of drivers to go overseas and compete on equal footing against other drivers and do well. And one of the things that I spoke to him about was that our cars here are so shite sometimes. And there you
go. That one's for you.
Yes, that our drivers, but like for example, Shane raced GTI Challenge. I raced with him GTI Challenge. The cars, they don't have LSDs, so the drivers have to figure out how to drive without an LS. So they get overseas. Now all of a sudden you've got
get some good equipment.
Polo Cup didn't have LSDs either. You get to overseas, all the drivers have LS, and they've been driving LS their entire lives. Now you've got a situation where you've got twice the amount of grip available that you've had before, and all of a sudden everybody else is slow. So South Africans have historically done well when we've gone overseas and competed on equal footing, but it's been difficult with that change. But again, an exciting time now in South African motorsport. Very exciting time.
100%, it really is. And I mean, they're also very aggressive drivers, aren't they? We do some very entertaining drivers, and that's what we like. I think it's because we have to drive against taxis all our lives, not the N2. And you have to be a little bit more aggressive, but we're good to watch, and we're good value.
Well, folks, we're going to go to ads, and we'll be right back after this to see some drivers that are good to watch as well in the Kyalami 9 Hour Virtual Edition.
The Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli, heads to South Africa for the world-famous Joburg Kyalami 9 Hour. On the 5th of February 2022, the season finale promises to draw to an epic African conclusion. This is the premier GT series in the world, and you could be part of the action. With the title yet to be decided, Audi, Ferrari and Mercedes-AMG have unsettled business on the blacktop. For more information and ticket sales, visit www.kyalami9hour.com.
Here we go, folks. This is Super Pole. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The finals of today's racing is upon us, of course, heading into tomorrow's main event. But this is the Super Bowl. We are now on board with Philip Minnaar in the number 923 car. He's doing his outlap and getting ready to line things up as Philip Minnaar in the 923 car. Dan, your expectations of Minnaar and the boys over here, as we saw earlier,
my expectations are very, very high, because remember, Philip Minnaar put it on 5th yesterday in individual times, and he had Sas van der Westhuizen, who won't be ridiculously upset with me saying that Philip's a bit quicker than he is, so he brought the average time down a little bit. So Philip's starting from 10th position, but this is one that he could get up there, even into the top 5 in this Grumpy Rumpy black car. So watch out for this time. It's going to be a benchmark for the early runners.
So Philip Minnaar and the guys barely made it into the top 10. So that's going to be the story for them. I'm sure they just made it into the top 10. They were going to be, as you said, they made it into top 5 yesterday, and now they just made it top 10. So hopefully they should be much faster now. This is the first runner here. This is your first driver, Philip Minnaar, in the number 923 car Audi. Makes his way down into second gear, now up into third, 150 kilometers an hour into third gear. Now going through Sunset, the fast sweeping right hand all the way to the left. Watch how they cut across here now. Is he going to run slightly wide on the exit? Yes, he does. Oh, touches the outside there, and now makes his way into the left-hander.
He's using all the track limits, but he's very well seasoned on this circuit, is Philip Minnaar. I'm expecting this, as we said already, to be a very quick time, a good benchmark for these early drivers. And yeah, he's not put a foot wrong so far. Gone through the very difficult section coming up to Leerkop now. And the braking zone, as you point it towards the tree and just hope that that tree hasn't been moved in your last time you went up there, because you put a lot of faith in that. If they ever cut that down, there'll be cars going straight through the back end of that circuit, coming down the mine shaft.
I don't think they could, actually. I mean, it's such a fixture over there. You've got to just
leave it there now. They'd have to plant a fake one or something, wouldn't they? They'd have to put something there. Yeah.
But it's a blind crest as well. You can't see the corner. You can't see where to go. It's exceptionally blind over there and very tricky. I can't imagine what it must be like to drive it at night. Philip Minnaar now coming up to complete his lap. Let's see how he does. This will be the first lap. He's going to want to get close to his previous best earlier on. Let's see how he does. Comes towards the finish line. Does Philip Minnaar. He will take first place and gets a time of 140.5. Flash of the lights. He's happy with that. 140.5.
What was his time yesterday? Have you got the timetable with you by any chance? That's a solid time. He was 5th place yesterday, but bear in mind he's only had one lap. I think he'll be happy with the 140.5.
Philip Minnaar yesterday did a 140.3, and as you say, for a one and done, that is a very, very good time. Oh, Christian
Deploy. That's not how you want to do your outlap, is it, Christian Deploy, unfortunately?
You've got to shake it off now. You've got to shake it off. Christian Deploy, and that's what we're talking about, the mindset as well. I've always spoken to people that aren't race car drivers about this, is that if you make a mistake, you have to wipe that mistake out of your mind immediately. You can't be pondering the mistake going around the circuit later on. You've literally got to go, it's done now. It's time to get my head down. I've got one chance to do this. Let's do this.
The difficult thing, though, is the next time that Christian Deploy goes through Cheetah, where he's put it off on his outlap, he's going to be a little bit hesitant as he goes through there. And it's a difficult corner anyway. If you clip that curb on the way through of Cheetah, that's it. You can be in the kitty litter with no time set. However, he did only put this team are already punching way above their weight in the Pro-Am class in 8th position, so they've really got nothing to lose in the One Plan Insurance 316 car. And let's see whether Christian Deploy, very, very quick driver. I know him from other series as well. I've seen him win Division 1 races in leagues in this country. So he's a very, very quick driver, and he's halfway through his lap already.
Well, his best time of 140.8 yesterday. So that's what he's aiming for, and that could have just been a once-off mistake. We're coming to that section where the mistake happened in a moment, and then we'll be able to see for ourselves exactly to be able to fix that mistake.
Yeah, it's very difficult through here, isn't it? These technical corners towards the end of the lap, Crocodiles and Cheetah. And then even Ingwe. Ingwe is not easy. You've got to get on the power as early as you can, and you get a bit squirmish coming through this final corner. get a good exit and drag it towards the line is so vital. Using all of the circuit there is Christian Deploy.
Christian Deploy crosses the line. Gets a 140.9, stays in second place. That's Christian
That's only
Deploy.
a tenth off his best, you were saying, from yesterday. So
yes,
he's got to be happy with that, I think, Christian Deploy overall. A tenth off his PB on a one-lap wonder.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. I mean, 1/10 of your, as you say, 1/10 of your PB on a one-lapper. That is not bad at all. We now got on board with Leslie Oliphant in the Porsche GTX racing car over there. And gets through the sweep. On the power is Leslie Oliphant, so fast, hard on the brakes, takes a wide line. They want to get as much speed as possible onto the back straight now as Leslie Oliphant.
If I'm not mistaken, Leslie Oliphant put this on the front row last time out, didn't he? So we do expect a little bit more than possibly we should from Leslie Oliphant, but it's only because his pedigree in sim racing is so well known, and also his ability in this 911 flat six car, very different. I mean, Porsche took all the formulas of everyone else. They looked at it and go, you know what? We're not going to do any of that. Shove the engine in the back. No, we don't want a V8 twin turbo. No. That's not how we do it. And for some reason, it's still blisteringly fast, isn't it? So
it's
nice to
unbelievable.
have some variation.
Anybody that's ever driven a Porsche knows that once you get out of one of these cars, there's this feeling of this is how everybody should do it. BMW, stop putting your engines in the front. That's the wrong way to do it. This
We'd have
is
a lot
the
of
right
accidents, I think, if BMW started putting their engines in the back, so please don't. I think stick with what you know, and for Porsche, they've just got half a decade's worth of German engineering into that thing, haven't they, basically, and it works.
Evolution, man, evolution. That's exactly what it is, evolution of the species. And this one has evolved into an absolute monster where the old cars had weird things like lift-off, understeer, and all sorts of other sort of strange characteristics. The new Porsches are just absolutely pinned to the ground. If you can get that weight shifted to the front, it absolutely hugs any corner, and that's exactly what the GT3 RS is doing right now. He's 2 seconds up on his previous lap, but that's not going to count. He needs to beat Philip Menard and Deploy, and hopefully a whole bunch of other drivers that will be following suit in the next couple of moments as Leslie Oliphant makes his way towards the final section. Leslie Oliphant towards the final, just comes out the final corner, across the line, goes Oliphant, he goes first with a 40.2.
Just a request from our production crew, possibly on this tab, if we could just get the deltas up instead of the times, so we can get a bit of a keener eye on how far behind these are. But 140.2 is comfortably enough for first position as it stands, as Hannes van Veek takes his very interestingly painted Porsche, I have to say. I think he might have ruined the resale value of that in the BWR Wipers car a little bit.
It looks like they splashed some.
I hope it's a wrap and not paint. Yeah.
Oh my God, imagine. And that looks like there's oil and oils. You know when oil sort of puddles at the garage? That's kind of what it looks like. Fuel and oil mixed together. But interesting nonetheless. I tell you what though, we're not going to miss that car tomorrow.
No, exactly that.
I
think that's the look that they've gone for. And it's going to work, I think, as he starts his flying lap. Hannes van Veek, massively improved sim racer. Super impressed. I commentated on a race he did last week, and he was right up there in the top 5 in a Division 1 race in South Africa. Hugely improved in the ACC. I think he's actually gone under the wing of Zaire Esser for some training, and it's paid dividends in his pace, because I've seen a big improvement in his lap times. So it's not a surprise, actually, to see him in the top 10 in Superpole for this event.
Yeah, 140.7 for Hannes van Veek yesterday. And fantastic. He's got to just get that 140 point something if he can. Some of the guys aren't going to go as fast as they can. You know, just one of those situations where the drivers aren't going to be able to go as fast as they want to, as fast as they can. And Hannes van Veek in it with a real shout here if he's able to get some pace out of this brightly colored Porsche.
There we go. We got the deltas on the screen as well. So we see Philip Menard 3/10 behind Leslie Oliphant, and 6/10 back was Christian Deploy. But Hannes van Veek, how's he going on this fast lap? Haven't seen a mistake from him in this 911. It's hard to actually gauge a mistake because I'm putting my sunglasses on to look at that Porsche for the BWR Vipers. It comes up to the difficult section where we saw Christian Deploy have a small error as we go through Crocodiles and then Cheetah. And final for Ingwe as he comes around the corner. It just shows you how well Philip Menard did place that car, snuck into the top 10. And I'm thinking he's going to gain at more than one spot. So can Hannes van Veek knock him off his perch and split Leslie Oliphant? I don't think this will be enough for first.
Oh, across the line he goes. Hannes van Veek gets 4th place. It's a 141.3, and unfortunately not enough as Kaketso Pelane makes his way through. As I said earlier, you can hear the chopper blades whirring in the background there. Warms up those tires in the number 7 car. Kaketso and the guys did exceptionally well yesterday, seeding they did 6th position. The team name, though, Faster Than You Racing. They've got a big
That's
name
a brave
to live up
name.
to. It's a very brave name.
Very brave name, isn't it? Faster Than You. Apart from the 5 people in front of me, they're even faster.
Exactly. So here comes Kaketso Pelani now on his way towards the start-finish line, and this is going to be all or nothing for him. He's going to want to get up as high as possible. Super Pole, of course, 10 drivers trying to see who goes the fastest. Drivers and teams nominate the fastest among them. Kaketso is the fastest in his, at least at the moment. It says how he does, and some uniquely African livery on the Porsche over there.
I was just about to say how good this livery is. It looks superb, very in keeping with what we come to expect. They come up to the S's. Super tricky section this is. I did struggle with it, I have to say. But a superb looking Porsche. Sorry, he's coming through Sunset now, isn't he? Using all of the track as you have to do to get a quick time round here. Love the black and African style right over the front from the helicopter cam we had earlier. This S's section reminds me sort of Maggots and Beckett Silverstone, super fast. Got to make sure your line is perfect because it's so easy to get it wrong through there, and then you'll be getting an off-track. Earcott picked his braking well for the double left-hand apex. It comes down through the mine shaft. But this is very good running from Kaketso Pelani, known in the GT Sport world, is that right? Instead of the ACC world. So it's nice to see him transitioning.
He's the MSA Showdown champ, and if you remember, he was the wildcard entry, if I'm not mistaken. Came out of absolutely nowhere and just destroyed the competition. I mean, and now he is in the top 10 of the virtual Kyalami 9-hour. Kaketso Pelani makes his way now towards the finish line. The final quarter. Coach Dave waves us off in the background. Gets towards the start-finish line. Let's see how he does. Goes into second place. Just 1/10 behind Leslie Oliphant. Amazing stuff. Kaketso now. I think Kaketso could be in the top 5.
Yeah, I think he will be. And now we've got the guy that was, ATK Sim Racing. They might get a few accusations for sandbagging yesterday, I have to say, because this Mercedes AMG in the Pro-Am class, deep into pro territory, in a car that everybody said was sort of undrivable around Kyalami, and that is clearly not the case. It's looking good, it's sounding good, and it's in the top 5. And we've got Junior McCall at the wheel. I say a hugely experienced sim racer, and the guy's how old? Like 12 or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he is a hugely experienced sim racer right now, isn't he?
I've always said that if you get someone that starts karting at age 7, by the time they're 12, they've got 5 years of racing experience. And you go to any job interview, 5 years is enough. So, Junior McCall has got a few seasons under his belt now, and he has improved every single time. Time after time, he's shown us he's just getting better. His brain is quite literally, and no offense, quite literally still developing. So we're going to be seeing a lot more from Junior McCall, I'm sure of that.
But his motorsport brain is developing rapidly, isn't it? Because he was always had pace. That was never in question. It was more the consistency, which is, to be fair, is a lot to expect from young shoulders. And yet we've seen it get better and better and better. There's a lot of good things coming out of Junior McCall. He's a name to be reckoned with in the future, and he already is right now, putting his Pro-Am car into 5th position. You would expect him to really put a shout out for going top here, although Leslie Oliphant is set a pretty blistering lap at a 140.2, but Junior McCall will want to be right up there close to that time if he can, make his life a little bit easier starting tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. And with regard to the Mercedes-Benz then, as Junior McCall isn't 12 anymore, he's now the ripe old age of 14, looks like.
I do apologise. Huge difference.
Yeah. I think he started out as 12, and we just called him 12 the entire time. Junior McCall crosses the line, goes into 5th place, 1 second down on the 40.2.
I think he might be a bit disappointed with that, 9/10 off, Junior McCall. I mean, he really shouldn't put in a Pro-Am class into Pro, and it is a Merc, but I don't think he'll be too pleased with that performance, really.
Has the Mercedes been changed within ACC yet, Dan?
I think it's just the characteristics of that car on this particular circuit is possibly an issue, but we've proven that anyone can win in that car in other circuits, and we've also shown that it can do very well here with a world-class field, putting in 5th in qualifying as well. So I'm going to keep a keen eye out on Junior McCall, especially for the fact that he's running the Pro-Am boards on the side of his car. That's the big difference, isn't it? So he'll be looking to go for a class win tomorrow, not necessarily the overall win. Whereas Kieran Patterson, we're riding on board of the PWSR Porsche, he wants to go for the overall win because he put it in 4th position. Great average time for this team. And here's where he gets one chance to let it shine, whether he can put it on the front row of the grid for tomorrow's 9-hour virtual Kyalami.
Kieran Patterson pushing hard through Sunset there. We've got some guys in the chat. Let's go, Kieran. Sean Sreda, Leon Detoy, Malose Sabata. All the guys supporting in the chats over there. Keep those chats coming, guys. Make sure to like the channel, like the stream. Let your friends know that it's happening. Tomorrow, of course, 9 hours of racing ahead of us as Kieran Patterson makes his way to the very tight double apex over here. Slows it all the way down into 1st gear, 80 k's an hour through there, now down the mine shaft. Kieran Patterson is wanting to go much faster. I'm sure he's looking for at least top 5 spot, runs it all the way wide to the right, again all the way to the left, keeps it left here, very hard to the left here. Quite an unusual line so far, but this is the Porsche, so the lines will be slightly different in this car. Kieran Patterson almost done with his lap now.
Yeah, you can do different things with that car than anything else, can't you? And that's why it excels at certain circuits and then struggles possibly, arguably, more at the power circuits. But Kieran Patterson waiting to see where this comes in. Super interesting. Surely it's got to be up there as he comes across the line. Where's he going to go? Oh, he invalidated his lap. He didn't set a lap, did he?
Oh my goodness.
An invalidated lap from Kieran Patterson. That's a bit of a disaster from the PWSR team. I didn't see where he invalidated it.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. This is exactly what can and does happen. They were 4th in the race standings earlier on, and now PWSR finds themselves in 10th place with an invalidated lap as Daniel Rowe now lines it up in the Strabanti car over there, the Lamborghini. Just listen to the sound of that.
I love that car. V10. I'm looking forward to seeing that car next week. It looks pretty damn epic, doesn't it? And in the hands of Daniel Rowe, it's also incredibly quick. Our 3rd fastest car through our qualifying sessions earlier today. And now on Superpole, I'm expecting Daniel Rowe to usurp Leslie Oliphant finally and go to top spot before we see that masterclass car and the custom cut IT solutions that we're
getting
so
to the
looking
sharp
forward to.
end now. We're getting to the sharp end of the field. The top 3 drivers now looks like they're the only ones that are left at the moment. And this is Scuderia Scribanti, the number 58 car, managed to put themselves well into the top 3 and now fighting for top spot. I don't think Daniel Rowe's going to be happy with anything less than 1st place, but the other 2 teams might have something to say about it as Daniel Rowe makes his way now through the S's. Absolutely everything to play for. Cool head prevailing with Daniel Rowe. Lots of real world experience, lots of sim racing experience. And he's one of those guys that seems to be good at both of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I can't get over this car. It's a supercar look. It's a poster car, isn't it? As a kid, Lamborghini, outrageous styling, but still so blisteringly quick. Obviously, the Lamborghini Performante took the Nürburgring lap record as well, which you don't expect from a Lambo, but super quick through any stretch on any circuit. And it just looks awesome whilst it's doing it. So we're not really sure how Daniel Rowe's laps progress until he crosses the line. I'm hoping he jumps up the board, but I was waiting for that with Kieran Patterson. It just didn't happen. Don't think this has been an invalidated lap from Daniel Rowe. Where's he going to go? 3rd.
Daniel Rowe goes 3rd.
That's
so
a shock.
That means with a 40.5, Daniel Rowe goes 3rd, which puts him way down, assuming that the top 2 guys are going to be going faster still. We just heard that after sunset was the corner that Kieran Patterson validated. And about this Lamborghinis, it's so weird. I mean, and, this car's got a Lamborghini engine, doesn't it? The V10 engine, the same V10 engine as the Lambo. And it's so strange that Ferruccio Lamborghini did not want to go racing. I mean, he was against going racing with Lamborghini as a brand. And now they are so entrenched in motorsport, first starting the Lamborghini Cup many, many years ago, and now doing GT3 racing with factory backing as well. So Lamborghini now firmly involved in motorsport and supplying engines to Audi as well.
I think that's why we just think of them as not a race series, because of the history, and yet actually their cars are so blisteringly quick. It isn't just all about the looks, is it? And Audi thinks, well, no, we'll use that brand because it's very valuable to us, and we're very glad that they have done, because it's nice to see a naturally aspirated V10 in a Huracan as well as it is an R8. But yeah, look at the wheel bouncing up and down it through the louvers of that R8.
Wow. I saw yesterday, I was working in my office and I heard Audi R8 V10 come past, and there is such a distinct sound. Even though it's got the same engine as the Lambo, it sounds completely different. And they managed to get it. Yeah, they managed to make the sound distinctly Audi. It sounds very similar to the TTRS. It sounds like the TTRS is like half an Audi R8. So they managed. Oh, bit of a mistake there from Zaire Esther. Did you see that? Zaire Esther with a little bit of oversteer. A little bit of oversteer from Zaire Esther over there. So let's see.
He's putting it all on the line, though, isn't he, Zaire Esther? He knows that he's got to get a 39 to have a chance of putting it on pole, but he also wants to get past that slick racing Porsche. Leslie Oliphant's done a stunning job. Worst he can finish now is in third position, and that's way higher than where they started, seventh from the average lap times. But Zaire Esther, second apex on Learcop, just stepped out a little bit. He would have lost time through there. Comes through Ingwe, comes up towards the line. Is it good enough? It isn't. Fifth place.
Oh my goodness. Zaire Esther gets a 40.6. That means Minnaar, Pilani and Oliphant are in front of Zaire Esther. And so far, we were talking about Leslie Oliphant as if he was going to be further down the field. And look at him now. Leslie Oliphant currently leading the standings. Just one driver to go. Jordan Sherritt out there. That name striking fear into the hearts of some of these drivers, that's for sure. As the young Sherritt now makes his way around the circuit for his hot lap. This is the top 10 shootout, folks. This is the final run of your top 10 shootout. The heavyweights are out. Sherritt versus Esser was the thread of the conversation going into this. But that thread has changed now.
Yeah, and this is the lap we've been waiting for, but the biggest upset so far is that lap from Zaire Esther in fifth position, and also the PWSR Porsche, who had an invalidated lap. Jordan Sherritt, the pressure's off a little bit. He'll see the time that Esther put in and think, I've just got to beat a 140.2. I say that just. It's not easy, guys. Go and try it if you haven't already. Leslie Oliphant's looking pretty. It's on the front row of the grid for the slick racing Porsche. However which way you look at it, can Jordan Sherritt put a time down into the 39s? We've been waiting for it all afternoon in this Aston Martin V8 twin turbo in the custom cut IT Solutions car. And I think he's got it. The pressure's off, I think. I'll be very surprised if he can't beat a 40.2 when he had a 39.5 in session 1 qualifying, right the way back at the start of this stream.
And I gotta be honest, that when it comes to driving styles, when it comes to cars that are difficult to drive, certainly the front engine cars are a little bit easier to manage for most. I find I prefer front engine cars, just easier to, you know, as we saw with the Audi stepping out there on top of the hill, you wouldn't get that as violently and as quickly and lose so much speed with the front engine car. The car would more likely just drift a little bit. But somebody makes a good comment here. As Regolodian says, speed.exe has been activated. As
I think it really has. I really do. This lap's looked good to me so far. You're quite right. The Aston Martin is the car that we recommend for people picking up ACC as a good all-rounder. But here we've got Jordan Sherritt showing that it's not just an all-rounder. It could be the fastest car of the day. Comes across the line easily enough. 39.767. What a lap from Jordan Sherritt. That's your pole man. That's your pole man right there.
Lots of stories of the day. I think we're going to be going to a break, so just waiting for confirmation from our producer. Going to a break, and then we'll be talking about what exactly this means for tomorrow.
The 2022 season is upon us, and South Africa finally has an FIA-approved GT3 series. 6 rounds, 12 races, including the prestigious Kyalami 9-hour. The fastest South African drivers will compete on equal terms thanks to a complex system called balance of performance. Before each round, there will be an almost identical virtual round. This is South African GT Racing, and we'll see you in 2022.
Unbelievable turn of events there. I mean, just look at this table. The whole table's been turned on its head. And remember when we had qualifying the last time, it was much more predictable. The outcome of the qualifying was much more predictable than this one over here. But now you've got Kieran Patterson in 10th place. Didn't see that coming. You got Junior McCall in 8th. Hannes van Wyk, Christian Deploy, new names on the top 10 list, so to speak. I know they're fast guys, but they're going to be exceptionally happy to be in the mix there. Mixing it up with Zaire Essa. Philip Minnaar beat Zaire Essa. Daniel Rowe doesn't have to start from the back today. Kaketsa Pelani, the new kid on the block, and Leslie Oliphant in 2nd place. We kind of expected him to be on the front row at least. Jordan Sherritt, though, was supposed to not battle Leslie Oliphant. He was supposed to battle Essa. So, man, this whole situation is absolutely on its head. And when you have a grid, kind of like a reverse grid situation, chaos can ensue. Do you think we're going to be looking forward to an incredibly busy start to tomorrow's race?
For sure we are. For sure we are. There was a lot of stories. I think one of the bit I'm most impressed was actually Leslie Oliphant putting that slick racing Porsche on the front row of the grid, because he hasn't been there. The other teams have improved quite substantially since the last running, but when it counted one lap, Leslie Oliphant showing his class right there.
Yeah.
Zaire Essa, such small margins, wasn't it? We saw the back end of that R8 just stepping out and Learcott, and I suspected it would lose him a tenth or two. It lost him more than that. Yeah, it lost him way more than that, and he's going to start down in, 4th or 5th position. Daniel Rowe was dangerous from the back last time, so how much danger is he going to be basically in the top 10? Well, he's right in the top 10, halfway
if you're
up.
Dan the man, then he's dangerous Dan for sure.
Yeah, he really is. He can have that. I don't want that title. Daniel Rowe was very entertaining to watch fighting his way through in the Honda. Can he fight his way through from a lot higher up in the Scribanti Lamborghini? It's nice to see that livery right up there. So much to play for. But as you said, the person sleeping most soundly tonight will be Jordan Sherritt, Luke Addison, and Tariq Adams in the custom cut IT Solutions car that were exceptional today, weren't they? They won every one of their sessions. And when it counted with one lap, Jordan Sherritt, although he didn't have to push that much, it didn't matter. We knew he wouldn't. He was going to put it all out there with a 39.7 and take that pole. So thoroughly deserved from that team. Will they be in the lead after Crowthorne turn 2, though? That's the question. Tomorrow,
you're going to have to wait and see. You got to tune in to see my driver of the session so far. I think it's got to be faster than most racing's Kaketsa Pelani. I mean, in 3rd position there. He won. He came from nowhere in the last year's MSA Showdown and did the same now. He wasn't in the previous.
But not in ACC though, was he? So I'll give you that. I haven't seen him in ACC, and he's just got speed whatever he does.
Well, so, he's top 3 in the country, effectively. You know what 100%. I mean? And he's not an ACC guy. He didn't start on ACC like many of the guys did and built their way up. He came from somewhere else and decided to pick this up. I'm not sure what his experience is. I'd love to get that insight from him or our producers. But Kaketsa Pelani, faster than most, definitely.
It was faster than most. I mean, it's pretty accurate. It wasn't faster than all, was it? It did. So their team name was bang on, really, if you think about it. Faster than most. He's in the top 5.
They should be called faster than most. They should never be called faster than I mean, he could call himself that to everybody, faster, because the name of the team officially is Faster Than You Racing.
Oh, so right. They should be faster than most, I think, yeah.
Yeah. You could say that to everybody on the grid except for the top 6 guys. So when he walks past Jordan Sherritt in the pit lane, he's going to have to say, well, I'm not fast.
But you just duck out the way, don't you? And just don't look at him.
But a fantastic showing and my performance of the day.
Now the big question is today is all about the hot lappers. It's their time to shine. Their names are put up in lights and we talk about how amazing and brilliant they are and how fast they are. But tomorrow, 9 hours, pit stops, weather, so much can go wrong. Back markers, blue flags, yellow flags. There's so much.
9 of them.
Nuts. So, it's one thing to be a Jordan Sherritt on pole, but it's going to take a whole lot more to get that Aston Martin to finish first after 9 hours. It's going to need a bit of luck, definitely. Something always happens. That's why we love endurance racing. That's why we watch Le Mans. And someone conks out on the last lap, Toyota, for example, in the LMPs. You just can't keep your eyes off of it, can you? And that could happen here. We can have a technical failure. We could have anything, couldn't we, from a team? Yeah. So that's what we want to hear from you guys.
We saw that 4.5 hours last time. I mean, we only made it 4.5 hours, but so much happened in that time. And when you just think things are settling down, then the rain comes. So
it's gonna happen tomorrow. I'm predicting rain. So. Well, I can't guarantee it, but I'm going to think that there will be some changeable weather conditions. Put it that way, possibly. Hopefully. And then how you cope with those conditions is what makes you a successful endurance driver. And we'll see that next weekend. The team that copes with the conditions and the changes, especially at Kyalami, with its thunderstorms and all the rest of it, and the fact that the whole race can be thrown on its head, it'll happen again here in the sim world. So no one's going to want to miss tomorrow. You want to tune in. Race starts at 12, but the in-game time will actually be exactly the same as the real race next weekend, which has been shifted to its traditional starting time of 1 p.m, finishing at 10 p.m. So we get an extra hour of night driving, as like Kyalami 9 hours traditionally been set. So it's going to be epic. Cannot wait.
Of course, no curfew being the reason for that. Thank goodness, no curfew. But unbelievable. We got the top 10 raw results here for Super Bowl, and I mean, just incredible performances from these guys. Jordan Sherritt gets fastest sector in all 3 sectors, of course, and blasts everybody into first place over there. Leslie Oliphant with a fantastic showing there. Keketso Pilani, as I said, my driver of the day today, at least for this performance. We will have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, but we got 2 Porsches in the top 3, Lamborghini in the top 4, Daniel Rowe doing well, just missing out on that top 4 position over there. 0.2 of a 1.5 of a second down is Daniel Rowe, and right behind him is Minard. I mean, Minard, what can you tell us a bit more about Minard? I mean, he's right up there in that Audi.
Yeah, he does real life kart racing. Very, very quick. I think he's 18, bit of a young lad, but he's teamed up with Sas van der Westhuizen, and he's come on leaps and bounds in sim racing, has Philip Minard. So, and he's put in a lot of time as well. So I'll start to see some consistency come through. Tomorrow will be more the story also of the Pro-Am series in the silver class. Very much look forward to seeing that. We've got some quick teams in the Pro-Am and silver that can really get up there in the overall classifications as well. Prizes on offer as a reminder for all these guys for the winner of your class. So, I mean, you want to win silver class if you're in it. If you're in 30th place and you're in silver class, there's something to be had there. So you're going for it. So we're looking forward to how that class dynamic comes through, the Pro-Am and the silver class. We got a couple of Pro-Ams obviously starting inside the top 10, so already punching way above their weight. Can they hold on to that position as the day goes on? So many stories that will unfold over that 9 hours. We're just going to have to wait until it goes. Unfortunately, we've got to wait until tomorrow. It's almost a shame it's not starting now. Here we go. Here's the results. Just a confirmation of the custom cut IT
and
solutions.
2 Mercedes-Benz in the top 10.
Yeah, and we've only got 2 in the whole field. So there you go, 40 cars, and we got a 7th and 8th position in a Merc.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. 2 Mercedes-Benz in the top 10. Sim Racing Masterclass there in 6th position. Unfortunately, PWSR in 10th place with a D&Q. I mean, what a shame. He made one teeny tiny mistake, but the game hands out those penalties. There's nothing you can do there.
He risked it for the biscuit and it didn't work out, so he's going to drop 5 places, isn't he? Going to start 10th. But if he gets away cleanly in a 9-hour race, I don't think in the great scheme of things he'll be too upset with his day's work in the PWSR Porsche. But then there's a few that will be very, very happy. The likes of Grumpy Monkey Black will be very happy. Slick Racing Crew in that Porsche. They're dangerous. I'm telling you, they're dangerous on the front row. Could they sneak it up the inside of Custom Cut IT Solutions and hold back that team in the early laps of tomorrow? Maybe a story right there. Could be history repeating itself in the second running of the virtual Kyalami 9 hour.
I think that there are going to be many story threads here, Dan. And it's going to be up to us to tell those stories and let the people out there know what those threads are. But I think we're going to have enough to talk about for 9 hours tomorrow. Just one last glance at the stream over here. Hilton Sim Racing says, well done, Jordan Sherritt. And JJ McClure says, well done to Daniel Haynes and that other guy. So
brilliant. That is the comment of the day for me. That's it. I'll be reading out all of his comments tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Yes. So, folks, I think that's it from us at the moment. Let's have one last glance at those sponsors at the bottom there. I mean, unbelievable stuff. Sim Race, you guys put together a great show. Sim Racing GP, Kyalami 9 hour, Monarch, pulling all the plugs and wires in the background there. GT South African GT Championship this year. Watch and stay tuned for that. I'm sure we're going to be seeing some sim races in there at some stage. Dan, any final words from you before we head into tomorrow's big finale?
I don't think so. I think we've had a real entertainment Super Bowl. For some people, that's the most excitement you're going to get for the weekend, but I don't think it will. I think we're going to see plenty more when weather starts coming in. So no one's going to want to miss tomorrow. Just a reminder for everyone taking part, we've got 140 odd drivers that are involved this weekend. If you're not in the car tomorrow, that means you can be watching and interacting with the stream. So make sure to use that hashtag VK9H, and we have a lot more time tomorrow to bring up comments, see how teams are getting on, any difficulties they're overcoming during the 9 hours, what they're doing to keep cool and race at the same time. That's a big worry of mine. But there's so much to look forward to tomorrow, so you're not going to want to miss it. 12 o'clock, tune in on this YouTube channel.
12 o'clock, the action all starts at 12 tomorrow. It is going to be absolutely action-packed, folks. We saw what happened at the 4.5-hour event previously, and look at the standings today. It's completely different. Everything's been turned on its head. There's going to be a couple of drivers that are going to want to carve their way out from further back. 3 races in one effectively as well. All this happening over 9 hours. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Daniel Haynes. This is the virtual Kyalami 9 hour. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at the start line.
The Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli, heads to South Africa for the world-famous Joburg Kyalami 9 hour. On the 5th of February 2022, the season finale promises to draw to an epic African conclusion. This is the premier GT series in the world, and you could be part of the action. With the title yet to be decided, Audi, Ferrari and Mercedes-AMG have unsettled business on the blacktop. For more information and ticket sales, visit www.kyalami9hour.com. The 2022 season is upon us, and South Africa finally has an FIA-approved GT3 series. 6 rounds, 12 races, including the prestigious Kyalami 9 hour. The fastest South African drivers will compete on equal terms, thanks to a complex system called balance of performance. Before each round, there will be an almost identical virtual round. This is South African GT Racing, and we'll see you in 2022.